Hello everyone, welcome to round 8 of the Syndicate Racing League 100 season, the second season of the SRL-100. Let's start off with a quick rundown of the standings as they stand. It's of course Strugs, our championship leader, on 141 points. Only picked up minimal points last weekend because of his DNF from the race and some penalties applied after the sprint race. Fade also not having a great weekend, crashing out spectacularly on the last lap, crashing with Scholar Bull and picking up minimal points. It would look like a race win for sure with just moments to go, but of course Joker came through and stole that win. OS Degrees is in third place after a great set of results last weekend. Matusas with 49 points in fourth. Scholar Bull in fifth with 48. And we'll look at the Constructors' Championship. Obviously, Williams are miles ahead, 254 points in first. Ferrari are in second, 110 points. Good teamwork from the Ferrari boys this year. Alpine are in third, who are the only other team to have wins, and both drivers now have wins. Matusas in Australia, Joker last weekend in Monza. Aston Martin, of course, they're on 70 points, some good points from Rugriff last weekend. AlphaTauri, they are in 5th position, and Red Bull in 6th. So much unluck from them, so much unluck. AJ's been really unlucky. So, yeah, it's a new setup this weekend, so if there's any problems with any of the sounds or anything like that, please drop a message in the Twitch chat, and I will put a message into Discord saying at here, send now, and Twitch. There we are. So, right, okay. Let's have a look. So we've got 3 sessions, of course, to take us through this. And just while some cars haven't come out, if it's your first time watching along, let's we'd really appreciate if you could drop some kind of like or follow on us. That'd be really appreciated. Trying to get 50 followers, and yeah, if you're viewing from Twitch or somewhere like that, then drop us a go to the Discord. You can get involved. We do nightly casual race lobbies. We also do league races. We're looking to roster for the SRL-50 at the moment, doing practice races for that. And the SRL-100, of course, every weekend, every Sunday at 8 PM. We have some cars starting to go out. Fence, he's been very quick indeed. Yeah, he's been fantastically quick, actually. Let's just move this slightly to the left because this got out of whack. Move that slightly to the left. There we are. So, Fence, he won the SRL-50 practice race. Of course, we're not fully rostered for that. He's got that terrible fish helmet, and he is looking to win again today. Let's see if he can do it. His pace has not been so consistent. He's been quite inconsistent this year, crashing out on a number of occasions. But he'll be looking to get a good result this weekend. He's been remarkably quick, especially through some of the practice sessions, the pre-race lobbies, and of course the SRL-50. And we'll ride on board with him as he'll be the first to go and set a lap. As we come through turn 15, and he splits the timing beam to start his lap now. Let's go and make sure we have the lap detail on, as well as some of the telemetry, so we can see how quick he's going. Does he keep it within the white lines here? No, he doesn't. He immediately disqualifies his lap. So we won't go on board with him. Who is coming around the final corner? It may be Fade. Fade is taking a very different route there. I don't think that's particularly warranted at this stage. Strugs, he is coming around the final corner, turn 15. Mr. Purple Helmet, here he comes, charging down this undulating track. Roughly 2.9 miles, that's 4.8 kilometres in 4.6 kilometres even in non-English speak, as he comes through and rattles down to turn 3 Lagos, up to turn 4. Really tricky on traction. This left-hander feels like it's going to end forever. You don't want to run too far wide, and he's kept this going, so he undulates down to this hairpin of Toy Vip turn 5, and you're immediately aiming for that left-hand kink at turn 6, into the right-hander very quickly at turn 7. It's not quite flat out. and then immediately on the brakes for turn 8. All the way uphill we go as we come to Craig Jones, the left-hander of turn 9, and up to the double right-hander of turn 10 and 11. Double apex, and down to turn 12, up to turn 13. This near hairpin, and then turn 14. This right-hander, also near hairpin. Well, it is a hairpin, which kind of keels out as we go round. And the long right-hander of turn 15 to round out the lap. He'll be the first person to set a time. Where can Struggs set the benchmark? It's a 1:18.7. So I think that's a good lap. Well, I think we'll see times about a second lower than that. So he's obviously got more time to go, but he will be happy with that. OS Degrees, he's putting a 1:19.1. It is Aston Martin of Temp. He's just starting a lap. Who else has just started a lap? Ganja, our first time in the SRL-100. Ganja in the Red Bull, teammate with AJ this weekend, filling in for Soul Collector. He is putting in a 1:22. Brother of the championship winner, leader, not winner yet. still 7 rounds to go, including this one. And Fade is out. Fade has crashed. Oh no, Fade hasn't crashed. Right, so Fade, I'm really bad at this, aren't I? So Fade, Geordie, and I believe Alpha Integral, they have all picked up enough penalties to be warranted as needing to have a qualifying ban effectively. So Fade, Geordie, and Alpha Integral all have a qualifying ban, and they're effectively out of the session, basically, and they'll serve that. They're allowed to go out, set a lap time, not set a lap time, go out, return to the pits, put their setup on, and that's it. So we have Gilly on tour. He's just crossed the line at 1:19.1. Where can Temp put his car as he crosses the line? It's a 1:18.9. That's up into second position. Good pace from Temp. Vent is back in the pits. Den the Pool, he is on a lap going through turn 14. We also have a Williams crossing the line. I think that was an Alpine actually. The Alpine number 2 starts 1:19.1. Den in the Pool comes around the final corner. He is keeping that all the way to the right, tight as possible. That's a 1:19.1 from Den in the Pool. Our German racer, AGS Inden, he goes quickest, a 1:18.3. So 5/10 in front of Struggs. That should already be enough to get through this session. Obviously only 2 cars furthermore can be knocked out at this point. We have Wool, he is on the lap at the moment, just starting a lap. Oh, and he spun. That's not going to be going that fast. And there's a Ferrari, he's got out of the way of the Ferrari nicely. I believe that was Captain Rainbow Fox. He will set a lap, he's gone at a 1:18.9, quick lap from him. Joker, he will be on a lap as we speak, starting his lap, so we'll go on board with our race winner last weekend. Absolutely clinched it from nowhere as a Haas of Wool gets out the way, so does a AlphaTauri. That must be IBN, because I believe Fence is in the pits. Yep, that would be the IBN. So coming through turn 5, up to turn 6, he absolutely clinched the win. And let's look at this right-hand shot. Look how far uphill you go through turn 8. Really, really undulating. That's why it's so unsettled the car as you travel through there. Left-hander of Craig Jones, turn 9, two right-handers, 10 and 11. As you come to the end of the second sector, and he sets the fastest middle sector, a 53.732. So this is a good lap from Joker. Joker going very, very strong here. Early doors. He'd absolutely love to win twice in a row, I'm sure. One, because he didn't have any penalties last weekend. Cars ahead of him have crashed out. And his first win in the SRL, he must have been delighted with it. And I know he was. 10th, so that's 10th for 1:19.742 for Joker. So cars yet to set a lap who can. Mr. Borbagri, Kev, he is just at 1:35. So that's not the quicker. That must have been disqualified. Alex Trent G, he is on a lap as we go on board with him. He's going around turn 14, and we'll go on board as he comes down onto the start finish straight around turn 15. flat out, all the way around, maximise the outside, put the DRS on, cross the timing median to 1:40.03, so very, very slow there. Must have had a moment, and he's probably going to go for another lap here again. Fence in the pits. Wool, of course, spinning early on and just invalidating his lap there. I think he'll have to duck back in. That has not been a good session for him thus far. Fence is saying, I think I'm going to have to retire. I've disconnected twice. That'd be a shame, Fence, if that happens. Hopefully not. You've had so much pace. If you do retire, then make sure you retire in the race, because retiring, your AI may be left in and cause some shenanigans, and of course you can still get penalised for that. So if you have to retire, make sure you retire in the race if that's what you decide to do. As Wool goes again, he's got absolutely no ARS, so I don't know how constructive it will be on this lap. But AJ Sinden has decided to park up. No more laps from him. 1:18.3. He's happy with that. Struggs coming around the final corner. What does he get? Can he go faster? It's a 1:18.5. So look, AJ has got the measure of Struggs so far, but I'm sure Struggs will be able to bounce back. I'm imagining a low 1:17 from Struggs, at least if we come to the final parts of qualifying. Supreme speed. This driver has one of the best qualifiers the SRL has ever seen. Probably the best qualifier, statistically at least. I think he's got 6 or 7 pole positions in the league, and I think the next nearest is our last year's champion, Ziman. He's also very strong in the races, of course. So, Fence in the pits. He's not vibing. I think he may be coming out of the pits here. Yes. Yeah, he must be. Yep, here we are. He's coming out of the pits. So he's had some problems with disconnections before and having problems with disconnections tonight. So Fence on an outlap. Let's see what his pace can be. It would be a real shame if Fence retires, because he's had such pace in the build-up to this race, such huge pace. So, who is on a lap at the moment? Who is in the drop zone? More likely, it's Fence and Wool are the cars that will be knocked out, alongside Fade, Geordie, and Alpha, who have been banned from qualifying this session due to too many infractions over the year. One thing I haven't looked at yet is whether we'll have a rainy session, and I think you can already tell it's quite bright skies in this session. So we'll have a look and we'll keep an eye out through the sessions whether we're expecting any kind of wet rain. Obviously, if you're watching along, let us know if there is any wet rain. Wet weather. All rain is wet, I guess. Wet weather coming in for the weekend. I can only see it 2 sessions in front. But I will have a quick look. I'll get that up on my dashboard, my Sim dashboard that connects in, and it's not connected in, is it? It's saying Wi-Fi not connected. That would make sense because I actually disabled my Wi-Fi earlier. So let's get that up and get connected. Oh, and Wool's off. Wool is off. I don't know why Wool is just setting lap after lap. Those tyres must be absolutely dead. And he'll be able to get back to the pits, but those tyres are absolutely dead. And he's already got off a few times at that first corner. It seems like his setup isn't quite gelling quite correctly, bringing in too much pace. At 1:33.6, he's in the drop zone. So is Fence, but he has set the fastest middle sector, so you don't think he'll be in the drop zone for long. It could be those 2 Haas cars in trouble. Mr. Borbagri just under a second down on Ganja. That's a lot of time to find out in the final moments of qualifying. The Haas's are performing poorly here. Wool will have another time for a lap. So Fence takes the first position. That will be enough to get through to Q2. Obviously, this is just to find the final 5, the back 5 runners basically. So it'll be Alpha Integral from Geordie to from Fade. So Fence has set that lap. McLeod also out. Other cars waiting in the pits. I think a lot have decided maybe that they're probably good enough to get through. Doesn't want to waste another pair of tyres. McLeod comes over the line, sets a 1:19.509 up into 10th position, just ahead of his teammate in 11th. His teammate Chonk, of course. McLeod so much faster than he was at the start of the season. Obviously moving to a wheel has found him a lot of pace. Do people have some predictions for this weekend? If you're watching along, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to qualify pole? And who do you think is going to win the race? I'd love to hear it. And we'll just look forward to this session. Next session are looking like to be in completely dry conditions. I think the final session of qualifying will be. I haven't got a view of the race session yet. We have dead in the pool. He's come out of the pits on an outlap in the Alfa Romeo, taking the full-time Alfa Romeo seat. Has he? Yes, he has. He has taken a full-time Alfa Romeo seat. We've had 2 new drivers join Alfa Romeo this weekend. So Alfa Integral has joined from being a reserve. Dead Pool has also joined from being a reserve. Skull the Bull, he's moved down to a reserve and also serving a full race ban for too many penalties received in one season. He's moved to the SRL-100, so he's rostering for the SRL-100. As we see some retirements, cars deciding that they have done enough to get through to Q2 and do not want to spend any more sets of softs in this session. We have Chonk going out again, Joker going out again. We'll definitely see the Haas go out again. Ganja's on the bubble, down in 15th. But then the pool's coming through the first section of corners. Turn 4, the left-hander uphill onto the back straight, I guess. It's kind of a back straight. As he peeks over and crests over the hill, down into turn 5. Runs slightly wide there, but still no track limits. Alpine keeps out of the way on the inside there. That must have been Joker going up the hill. And getting his back end bit of loose there. Larian loose through turn 8. And it's very easy to drop traction through there. You have to be so gentle on the throttle. But of course you gain time from getting on the throttle early, so it's a risk and reward. But you think Dedenpool is through in this session. It would be unlikely that he'd lose. Cars behind him would gain 9/10 worth of time. Mr. Paul Bagley, he'd have to get a second and a half faster. Maybe he has had a mistake on his lap. But Wool, we haven't seen true pace from Wool yet, and they are both out on outlaps. Ganja in the pits. Wool is, let's go on board with Wool. He's about to start his lap. He may have even started his lap. This may be a legitimate lap unless he's had an issue on this lap. Perhaps. Let's see. But he's starting a lap proper now. There's a yellow flag into turn 1. Looks like a Mercedes has spun. Oh no, Mercedes of Chonk, I think, getting out of the way. Maybe McLeod even. It must be McLeod actually getting out of the way on the inside there. Coming through turn 4, through the first sector. Is he up on his time? Has costed the sector one time, being 2.5 seconds up. So he's got a 1:33 best so far, so you should expect a lot of lap time here. But he gets a bit loose through there, and this will be his final attempt, I think, at a lap. And he's got a bit of traffic just in front. It's an AlphaTauri, possibly the AlphaTauri of IBN. Must be the AlphaTauri of IBN. He gets out of the way, but that may have cost just a little bit of time there. I think IBN got out of the way when he could. And through this turn 10, turn 11 section, really tricky. I was facing it in Project Cars earlier. It's even trickier in that in Formula 3 cars. Going left, through turn 13, through turn 14, the last proper corner in terms of having to brake. And on the traction, will this be enough for Wool? As we come to these dying embers of Q1, he'll be able to go again, I think, but he won't have EOS, so he'll be clipping on that lap. And that's a 1:27, so that is not enough, but it is enough to go in front of his teammate. Meanwhile, Mr. Borbagri, he is in position. He could knock Ganja out here. Ganja has not gone out, so Ganja is at risk in this Q1 qualifying session. The debutant in the SRL-100, Ganja, the younger brother of Struggs, the Ralph Schumacher of Michael, going right. Oh, and that's a corner cut. So that's it. Ganja has got through to Q2 on his debut, and that will be curtains. That's our lot. Wool qualifying 16th place. Kevin, Mr. Borbagri, he is in 17th place. Kevin Borbagri, I believe his full name is. Fade in 18th. Geordie in 19th, and Alpha Integral in 20th position. So, I will go quiet. When all the cars return to the pit, I'll go quickly quiet, just clip that, make sure we've got those results known. Useful to have the results just in case there is a ready up rule infraction to rebuild the grid. Drivers listening along, I'm sure you've read through the rules, but ready up rules are going to be punished harsher. So first time everyone gets a warning, but they're dropped to the back of the grid. Second time it's a 20-second penalty on top of your light race time, on top of being moved to the back of the grid. I think the third time is that you're disqualified from the session as soon as it happens, and any more than that, you're out of the seat. You can't reserve. We don't want you in the league if you get ready up that much. Yeah, that is the new rules being judged from this weekend. Of course, cars already with a warning are fenced, so fence on a second infringement would be getting a 20-second time penalty on top if he ready up rules infracted this weekend. Hopefully he won't. Hopefully we won't see any ready up rule infractions from anyone as we go through, and this will be the end of the session. Joker going into pits, actually he'll be the final car to finish. At some point it will finish. There we are, it has finished now. So we'll have a quick look through the standings there, and it's Fence fastest on a 1:18.1, 9.8. AJ Essendon just a couple of attempts back, and if we go to the race director, we'll be able to see the positions and instance. We'll just see any instance. Quite a few invalidated laps you'd expect to see around here, especially around turn 1, and we'll get this clipped as evidence. If you're a first time viewer here, yeah, drop us a follow, we'd really appreciate it. Aiming for 50, that unlocks something according to Twitch. And I will just clip those qualifying results, Q1 results from there. Q1 results. Round 8. It's round 8 at Portugal. So, as we go into this session, Q2, we have both of the Haas's eliminated from Q1, and both of the Fade, Geordie, and Alpha Integral. We'll see how it affects Fade. Obviously, in the hunt for the championship against his teammate, it's a big bonus for Struggs to have him behind. But of course, anything can happen in an SRL race, and the words of Mo Walker, it usually does. Not about the SRL, but Formula 1 generally. I don't think he had the foresight to know that we'd have a league going. So, Fence on an outlap. So he's dead in the pool. Let's go on board with Earth Degrees. We haven't gone on board with him yet today. And the Ferrari is in this special 75 years of Ferrari livery. The Scarlet Ferrari with a dash of yellow splattered at the back. Almost Flovis-esque. And he's warming up his tyres. Still got an Monza tribute helmet on. Trying to channel the energy of the Tifosi. Earth Degrees winning the sprint race last weekend. His first win this year technically, but it's not, I don't know, did he count it's a full win? I don't know where you count it with statistics, really. It's all over the place, really. But not so lucky in the race, having a tangle with Alpha Integral, which Alpha Integral was found at fault for, but it did cost OS Degrees. Really, at that point, he was on course to win the race with the strategy of how it would have laid out. But very snakes and laddery last time round. Let's get the webcam up. I think we can keep the webcam up for the rest of the session because it won't be blocking anything. As he comes round turn 14, yep, turn 14, through to turn 15. And if you're wondering why it says Crablogger Aston Martin in the top, it's because I've picked up a SRL-100 race seat on Fridays, and that's my Discord name now. Previously it was Race Director. I will be driving in the SRL-100 on Fridays at 8 PM. I'll probably be streaming on here for now, maybe moving into my own channel once once I figure it all out. But here we go. Through turn 4, up the hill. Very tricky. And I actually remember watching a lot of qualifying here last year because I believe I went out it may have been Q1 or Q2. I definitely did make it to Q3, but I did play a blinding bit of strategy to take the lead at one stage, putting on a pair of inters as soon as it started raining. Safety car came out, other cars didn't pit for it, and by the time the safety car came in, it was time for inters. And everyone had to pit, and I had a massive, massive lead on cars that didn't pit. But another safety car came out, bunched us all up again. And I think Rugriff took that win last year. The Aston Martin driver not here to defend his Portimao crown. Obviously, works a busy schedule, so Sunday's not always able to be here, but I'm sure he'll be watching along if he can. So, as he takes his lap, it's a 1:18.8 for OS Degrees. Fence already into the 1:17s. 1:18.3 for Matusas. Joker, a 1:19.2. He'll be just looking for consistency though. AGS Inden, he's coming around the final few corners. Where can he go? Struggs has put in a 1:17.9 just behind Fence. There is a spun Alex Trent G on an outlap just on the inside of turn 15. Hopefully that didn't cast people too much time. AJS Inden goes into 8th position at 1:28. Not a quick lap, must have made a mistake. And if we check out the lap data, the telemetry as well, we can see that he's actually kept a lot of EOS, but now he's been held up by, is that McLeod? No, it must be the Chonk on a hot lap, getting in the way massively there. And that is problematic, because AJS Inden, I think, was building for another lap there. And held up through the first sector, so he's under pressure already. IBN on an outlap. Ganja also on an outlap, but just about to start a lap, so let's go on board with him. As he comes to turn 1. Let's ride on board. This is such a tricky corner here. You've got to throw it in and hope that you don't cut the outside. He leaves plenty of room for error on the outside. Could probably go a bit further and misses the apex of turn 2. Turn 3 rather. Turn 4. Still not quite on the apex for Ganja. Only just got through into Q2. Does he have the pace to improve in that Red Bull this weekend? Fastest first sector apparently, but I don't quite believe that from the amount of apexes being missed. And through turn 8. Cuts up the right. Down into Craig Jones. The undulating nature of this track is truly unique, like nothing on the calendar. Like watching a roller coaster from some of the off-board shops. As he's struggling to carry the speed through the corners. And not the best lap, truth be told, but new to the league and already improving. 18.8 on a scrub set isn't bad, to be honest, for Chomp. That's alright. 18.8. That's a decent time. May not be enough to get you through, but we'll see with how these times come in. This looks like it's going to be a 1:19, high 1:19 there, 1:19.4 for Ganja, so not the slowest, but still time to gain there. I think faster than his Q1 time, so a bit of an improvement from Ganja. We have other cars on a lap. IBN, he must be coming towards the end of the lap now. We know he's just gone through the first sector. coming up to turn 8. All the way uphill he goes. Tries to stay in the white lines. I think he just does, but it does compromise his exit from turn 8 down into turn 9. And you've got to hug that inside, clip the apex very late and get on the accelerator, ideally at the apex, but not running wide from turn 11 up to turn 13. Again, another tricky corner, ride that curb, use that a little bit, and then this right-hander as well, I think just kiss the curb maybe and get out on the power, flat out, hug the inside curb all the way through turn 15 at the yellow flag. But I don't think it's a spinner. I think it's getting out of the way. Where does this put him? At 1:19.552, so just behind McClone, 10th position. That would put him on the bubble if no more cars set a lap time, and other cars are going to set a lap time here. We have Captain Rainbow Fox, Fence, who has just gone up quicker. I think that could be no, 10th. AJ, it must be an AJ putting in a lap time there. 1:18.3. Decent if he's gone around on those tyres a few times there. Captain Rainbow Fox, supposedly again setting the fastest first sector. I'm not too sure if that's the truth. Even though I've got a quality banner, I won't be in T1 instant hopefully. I think starting from the back, you can just let the nightmare unfold, can't you, Faith? And pick up any of the paces. I think the only danger is if you go through turn 1 and there's a stricken car turn 2 and you can't get out of the way. So it's just I think take it very slow through T1 and hope you can get around T4 and have picked up a few places. I think you can't win the race on that one, can you? But you can lose it. So it's worthwhile. You will have the pace to pick through it. And Captain Raven Fox comes over the line, splits the timing beam. It's a 1:18.754. That's enough for 6th position. Good pace from Captain Rainbow Fox. Fence saying he hopes to not crash T1 as well. Yeah, I hope that too. Fence, is your connection improved? Are you doing well? Are you having a good time? As we have Dead in the Pool, he's not on an outlap, I don't think. Geary on tour, also on a disqualified lap. So Joker, I think he's just coming to the end of an outlap here. Widening up, stop. Tempe saying, mate, I'm scared. Is this about T1? You scared about T1, Tempe? You just got to brake, haven't you? That's it. That's my advice. Genius advice from Crablogger. And going to T1, last week's winner. Batuta saying he hopes he set a good lap time, enough to go through. I think a 1:18.3. I think you're looking good, to be honest. I predict a 1:18.5 to get through cut off Q1. Take that with a pinch of salt, but 1:18.3, that's 5/10 of improvement that Captain Rainbow Fox would have to get on you. Temp could probably go faster, maybe. Temp is scared about not qualifying on top. Right, okay. Well, you can do your best, can't you? You can do your best. If you get through to Q3, I think that's good with the pace of the field at the moment. But yeah, I'm predicting about 1:18.5 to get through the top 10. Dead in the Pool on a 1:19.0 at the moment. With 5/10 improvement, I think that's possible. But Alex Trengy, he's in the pits, not to see a yellow lap yet. Joker coming around. Where is this lap time? Is it enough to get him out of 11th position? He's in danger at the moment. I don't know if he'll have time to get out and go around again. So he does improve a 1:18.8. But I don't know if that will be enough. And I don't know if he'll be able to get back in. So Fence has retired from the session. Decided that is enough. And a 1:17.9 certainly is enough. Fade saying if he didn't have a quali ban, he'd have pole. Not sure about that one. I don't know. You could have had pole. Depends how you ride. Look, I think it's between Fence and Struggs. Possibly AJ has an outside bet. You know, I know he's 4/10 down there, but that was a compromised lap time. Chonk always fiery. And talk about the fiery Chonk. He's come out onto an outlap now, going through turn 1. And Ganja, he's coming through turn 1 as well, will come across Chonk. And he gets out of the way just. So Faye's saying he's done a 1:17.4 in quality practice. So 1:17.4 is actually my predicted pole time. And yeah, I think a 1:17.4 could be enough. But if you can get lap together, yeah, it could have been enough. We'll see. We'll see. But you know, getting it together in practice and getting it together in the race is a completely different kettle of fish. Let's go through. Let's go off board. Ganja on the bubble. Strux has a 1:17.3 in his pocket. Is Strux happy with you sharing this information? I think Strux is quite guarded usually about what times he can do. But Ganja, Strux' younger brother, in the Red Bull. No, I'm saying younger brother. He's his twin brother. He's younger in terms of race participation, that's for sure. As he comes over the line, he does improve, but he won't have time to go back in. May be able to cruise around, but that's the 12th position. It looks like Ganja's out. He'll be able to cruise around and maybe get one more lap time in here. Chonk on an outlap. Alex Trent G yet to set a time. Crucial for his qualifying session that this is a good lap time. He's looking at above a 1:18.8, possibly a 1:18.5 to actually get through proper, and it's a 1:19.2, so it's not enough for Alex Trent G. Dead in the pool, he's in the pit, so he is out the session. He is returning to the pits as we stand. Is he returning to the pits, or is he leaving the pits? No, he is returning to pits, so he's out. McLeod, he has gone onto a lap. IBN, he's invalidated a lap. He'll be able to get round one more time, but the pressure will certainly be on. Chonk also out there looking to improve his time on the bubble in 10th position. Let's see if Chonk does improve his time, because this could be quite crucial. But McLeod is ahead, so McLeod could knock his teammate down into the depths of Q2. And you know, if Chonk can't get a good lap time together afterwards, we'll see if McLeod has enough here to get into Q3. Down the final corner. Has he got enough? Has he done enough? He's looking for a 1:18.8. He does. A 1:18.6 he gets. So that puts Chonk under pressure. Joker is out there on a lap. Just coming round the final corner to set a lap, I believe. I don't know if that's enough time though. Chonk is on a lap. He's coming through. Does he get out of Q2? Yes, up into 4th position. So Girion Tour's now on the bubble. Joker is knocked down. And we have 24 seconds left, so Joker is on a lap time. Girion Tour coming around the final corner. He was 2 tenths down on his time going through the second sector, so he may not have enough. But Chonk, yeah, Chonk's stopped, but that's fine. I think, has he crashed? I think he's retired on track, which he shouldn't have done. Or he's crashed, which would be problematic. But Girion Tour, he's in a 1:18.7, so he may be safe. It's whether Joker can trump that. A 1:18.8 is what Joker's on. He's the only person who could knock him down at this point in time. As he comes through the second sector timing beam, is he up on his time? Absolutely crucial for his racer. He's about a tenth up. He's 4 tenths up. So Chonk. Well, no, it won't be Chonk. It will be Girion Tour. The graphics playing up there. Girion Tour is under threat here. Captain Rainbow Fox only just sneaking through, but confirmed through due to the number of runners left. And Joker, he's invalidated his lap time. So that's it. That's over. That is Q2 over. It's Joker, Den in the Pool, Alex Trent G, Ganja, and Ben who are out of the session. Disappointment for Joker to not get into Q3 there. He certainly had the pace to do it, but not unable to provide the goods at the right crucial time. But I think he'll be happy starting from 11th place. So Chonk just straight lined into the wall after not paying attention. So Chonk will be out of Q3, I believe. I believe we won't have made it through. So Chonk saying, I swear I pressed the menu button. Seems like you didn't. And Chonk is out of the race. Well, he's out of the qualifying. He'll be starting in 10th place. So it'll be 10th place Chonk, Joker in 11th, Dylan Paul in 12th, Alex Trent G in 13th, 14th for Ganja on his maiden SRL-100, and 15th for IBN, just not getting a lap time in there. We went on board for him through turn 8, and he was squirrely, let's say squirrely at the best. So we have the Q3 shootout coming up, and I'll just quickly record the results of Q2. So it's Fence taking the session lead again, and that is the results. Let's just disable the webcam quickly so we can look at the race directing incidents. And that is good enough. That's then recorded. So I'll keep an eye out on the clip. Make a quick clip. So Struggs is looking quick. Vance is certainly looking quick. AJ Sinden, I think he's probably got something up in his pocket to deploy. Alfred Integral not being on the pace quite well. No, he's not in this session, but he wasn't quite on the pace in Q in the SRL-50. So I wonder where he can come in the race, and we will quickly clip those Q2 results and get into Q3. No couch today. What does that mean? No couch? No couch from Matusas. I have no idea what that means. Could be a euphemism. So, Q2 results. Cars, lots of cars going out on track. Who is the first to go out? It's Struggs. Purple helmeted Struggs going through. So how do you get P10 and not going to Q3? So he crashed out. He got in. He did enough to secure 6th or 7th in the session, but crashed out. Straight lined it into the wall, he said. So, yeah. That's how you don't get through. Probably have 2 laps from each driver. Struggs straight out there, setting a quick time. He'll set the pace. Yeah, I mean, if you retire, you have to retire in the pits, I believe. Otherwise, it won't get through. It's yeah, quite funny not to get through. By crashing, he just straight lined it apparently. Just didn't pay attention. So only 9 positions to fight for in this usual top 10 shootout of Q3. Struggs coming up for his first attempt at pole position for round 8 of the SRL-100. Starts his lap on the straight. Is he better than that? He's also worse than that at times, I believe, Taylor. He's better than that and worse than that at the same time. Complex guy. Great race to have around. I can say that in the race we don't expect any rain unless there's a little dash of rain at the end, but looks like there's no rain to be expected in the race. So dry qualifying for the dry race. Going through turn 5, Tory Vips up to turn 6. Little lift into turn right as turn 7. Then onto the brakes, turn 8, up the hill we go. And over the crest, down into Craig Jones, the left-hander of turn 9. And pick your braking spot at turn 10, braking all the way through turn 11. Back on the power nice and early through there. It's fastest of the session so far, but you'd expect that being the only lap time through there. Only Geary now out on track at the moment. Geary and Temp both running in for both Aston Martin positions this weekend. It looks like a nice, neat and tidy lap from Struggs. Is it enough? Let's get the telemetry up. Let's get the lap data up so we can have a clear view of where Struggs are going to go. Looking like it's going to be a 117. Could be a 117.3. It's a 117.5. 117.5, so that's a good time. That is a very, very good time. Quick time. Fence is probably the next driver to come through. No, it's not. He's not on a lap because he's cut a corner somewhere. So AJS Inden, he comes across the line. Slow lap for him on 121. He has got time to go again with 2 laps 127. So he's also come unstuck at some point. It's OS Degrees. He goes up into second at 118.6. You'd have to imagine that isn't good enough for second for the rest of the race. But McLeod, he's coming over the line and he's gone into third at 119.4. So cars not failing to get their lap times in here. And Captain Rainbow Fox now coming around the final corner. Where can he go? Any kind of sort of decent lap time should put him up to second position. A 118, not 119, so that puts him up to third. Ferrari's in second and third at the moment. Struggles with 117.5. Got an absolute dominant form on him. I'd expect to see more cars into the 117s, even the high 117s. But Gibby on tour, he's still in the pits. Fence has returned to the pits. Temp is on a lap going through turn 8. Up the hill, missing the apex there. So a bit slow on the exit. Through Craig Jones, turn 9, turn 10. Braking heavily, try to open up the corner as much as possible. Very nicely done through there, very nicely indeed. Tempe was saying earlier he's worried that he won't have the pace to be on top here, but it looks like a nice clean lap, even if it isn't the absolute fastest. In for the Aston Martin of, well, it's either Rugriff or Lube, take your pick, which one's in for which. And just going all the way to the right there, trying to maximise his time. Isn't enough for 117. Oh, it's just a 118. AJS Inden only a few, less than just over half a temp quicker than Temp. So AJS Inden has got up to second position, and Fence is now on an outlap. Giri on tour yet to leave the pit, so Giri on Fence is our next chance of watching a good lap. All the other cars will return to the pits. If it's your first time watching, appreciate any follow that you can give us, so you don't miss a SRL stream. We'll be streaming Fridays and Sundays going forward. The SRL-100 is what you're watching right now. This is Season 2, Round 8. If you're first time watching a longboard, we run casual sessions nearly nightly, where clean driving is encouraged and actually required, and we talk through any events that happen. But Fence just about to come to start his qualifying lap. He'll have a second opportunity to go around, I think. So this will be his first of 2, I believe. But pressure is on after invalidating his first lap. He ducked in, put on a new pair of tyres, and now he's out of sequence with the others. But a nice clean track in front of him. Struggs already on an outlap, so we'll keep an eye on him. He goes through turn 1. Managed to keep it not invalidated. Awful fish helmet on. Click our Discord link just below if you want to be part of the fun. And Fent coming through turn 6 and 7. Up to 8 in the AlphaTauri. Really demonstrating some good pace this weekend. A contender for pole position, certainly. And raced really well all the way through the race with Fade just on Friday for the SRL-50 practice race around Portugal. And Struggs is going back into the pits, is he? Struggs going into pits? Don't understand that quite. But Struggs going into the pits, maybe suffering a bit of damage or not an optimum time. Struggs scrubbing up a pair of tyres. And Fence coming around the final corner. Is this enough to put him on pole? Where will it put him? Looks like he's going with 117.8. So it's enough for second position, but we know he can do faster than that. And he'll have another chance. Cars getting out of the way at turn 1. But they don't need to as he's on an outlap. So Struggs, Fence, AJ are the contenders for pole position here. Temp also very, very quick. 118, you'd expect him to see to dip into the 117s as the session progresses. Struggs. The 117.3 is what his teammate was saying was possible for him. Let's see if he can pull it out the bag under pressure in qualifying. We know he's performed so far through the year. AJ Sinden on an outlap. So's Captain Rainbow Fox. He's coming through the final few corners, so we'll go on board with him as he starts his lap. The Scarlet Ferrari. It'll be his last attempt on a fresh pair of tyres at least to set a good lap time. Starts deploying around turn 15. Uses as much of the track to get as big a speed going through to start the lap. 1:19.07 for him, was it? Oh no, that must be his previous lap, because this is him starting a lap here. Going through turn 1, keeping it very safe and secure through the first couple of corners. 1:18s are capable for Fox, so 1:19's a bit slow for him. He's got good pace here too. I'm sure his race pace will be good too. As he goes through Tory Vips, turn 5, the hairpin. One of 2 clear-cut overtaking zones at this track, probably the best overtaking zone, truth be told. End of the second DRS straight, up through turn 8. Easy on the traction, up the hill, and down the hill into Craig Jones, the left-hander. And the right-hander at the top of the hill, highest point of the circuit just here. In this quick middle sector, 5 tenths up on his previous lap time, so he's looking at a 1:18.5. How can he do through the final few corners as McLeod goes out to start a lap? The only Mercedes remaining in the session after Chonk binned it in Q2 after dramatically getting through. And hugs that corner. Where will this put him? Is this enough for 1:17? Certainly enough for 1:18. A 1:18.2. A superb pace from Fox there. Big improvement. OS Degrees also coming through. Matusas coming through the end of the lap. Let's see how he does. The Alpine driver, winner of the Australian race, coming back from 17th position on grid. No Alpine driver will be starting that far back, and he goes up into third, a 1:17.92. So good time from him. Tempe, Giri on tour, he is going on an outlap, but Tempe's coming around the final corner. OS Degrees, he's coming around the final corner. Where can he go up to? He goes in 1:18 flat. So Fox is falling down at orders, and it's Tempe. He goes across the line. He doesn't improve. He does not improve his lap. AJ Sinden is he improving his lap? No, he's two seconds up, so he'll be going again, but won't be on the optimum time. Struggs on an outlap, 1:17.5. I think Fence is out of the session. Fence is not going to get another time in here, so he's not got pole position. Can anyone challenge Struggs for pole position here? And Matusas has spun, but I don't think he was on a lap. And all he's done there is really got in the way of Giri on tour there. I don't know how much that would have slowed him up, but Giri on tour yet to set a time in the session. Can he do anything about that? AJ Sinden going through the final sector. Struggs also on the lap. This could be just a victory tour for him though, as he's already set the fastest lap, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to get anywhere near him. Struggs turning up when it matters, and this is why he's the championship leader, because he can really put it on pole, go hard to medium, and let the fallout happen behind him. But Giri on tour, where can he put it? Sticks as far right as possible to minimise his run to the line. It's a 1:18.4, so it's enough for 8th position. He takes that off McLeod. McLeod won't be able to go faster. He's disqualified his time. AJ Sinden looking quite slow through there, and I don't think this is a good lap time. No, in fact, he's going slow enough to let cars by, I believe, but I don't think this is going to be an improvement on a 1:18. That would be a great disappointment for AJ Sinden, and it won't be surprised if he ducks into the pits here. Struggs will be coming through the final few corners. Now, this is just a victory tour for him. He's 4 thousandths of a second up through the first sector, but 8 seconds down in the second sector. So I think that's it. I think that's qualifying wrapped up. I don't think anyone else is going to be going again. Fox looks like he's going slow. Giri also looks like he's going slow. So I think that's it. Struggs has took pole in the SRL-100 round 8 at Portugal. He'll be starting on pole position in the race session. Now, if you're watching along, then please remember about the ready up rule. AJ will put a time in to the Discord. I'll keep an eye on the Discord to make sure I can read out that time as part of the stream. In league discussion chat, he'll put something in. And so Struggs takes the pole. That's his 8th pole position in the league. 7th of the season, I believe. Temp returning to pits, third position for him. A good qualifying for his position for him. A 1:17.8. A very good lap time there. 1:17.9 from Matusas, also down in the 17s. AJ Sinden, I'm sure he'll be frustrated. I know it's possible of getting a 1:17 around here, so he'll be frustrated. They did dip into it there. And a decent result from the Ferrari boys. They'll be looking to work together through the race to maximise their race potential. The second place Ferrari drivers in the World Constructors Championship. Third place in the Championship OS Degrees, but quite a long way back behind Struggs and Fade. Needs a miracle to start gaining points quickly if he wants to be included in that title fight. Truth be told, I don't think he is. The runner-up last year behind Zeman. And if we look in league discussion, we haven't had a time up yet. Matusa saying he wasn't expecting to break the 1:17s. And yeah, a good qualifying session. We'll start the race soon, but just for now I will quickly get these results clipped and disable the webcam so we can see all the results. That's it, that's all the results. So it's Struggs on pole from Fence in the AlphaTauri, Temp in the Aston Martin, reserving for either Rugriff or Lou, take your pick. In third position, good result from him, fourth for Matusas, and fifth for AJS Inden. The two Ferraris in 6th and 7th, Girion Tour in 8th, and McLeod in the Mercedes in 9th. He'll be starting in front of his teammate Chonk, who DNF'd in Q2 after getting through to the Q3 session, so he'll be starting in 10th. That's why there's only 9 in the top shootout. So, race is about to begin in 5 minutes. What time will that be? It's we'll have a quick look in here to see what time that could be. League discussion. It's 21:03 will be race start time, so no ready ups, no one ready up. An admin will ready up at 9:03. So I will get that clipped. So we have those results, just in case a ready up infraction occurs. All drivers have to be very close. Very careful, let's say. I'm not saying something went wrong. So that's published, those results. I'll take a very quick break before we start the race proper. So, race will begin at 21:03. I think that gives us just enough time to look at the standings. Before we go in, Struggs is on 100. Struggs our pole sitter. He's on 141 points, leading the championships. Fade down at the back of the grid after a qualifying ban. OS Degrees in third. He's had a decent session. He's in with 76 points there. Matusas 49 points. Skull and the Bull really starts to get condensed. Skull the Bull not racing this weekend because of a ban. He's also moved down to a reserve slot because he's moved over to the SRL-100. Will be my teammate in that. Very much looking forward to racing with him. AJS Inden, he's in 6th position. He's had some rotten luck this year. He'll be hoping that that doesn't continue here in Portugal. Joker is in 7th position after a great win, 25 points last weekend from the feature race at Monza. Snuck through at the very last to win his first SRL-100 race. Chonk in 8th in the championship. 9th is Captain Rayra Fox. 10th is Alex Trent G, performing very well in his first season. Williams 254 points, Ferrari 110 points, Alpine 88 points, 70 points for Aston Martin and 56 points for AlphaTauri. It's Alpine versus Ferrari for second in the constructors. And we'll jump back over to the main commentary scene as we're only a few moments away from the countdown for Q3 beginning. We give 5 minutes to all drivers just to take a quick break, take a quick sit down. I'll just do a quick beg for followers. Please follow us. Beg for followers over. Good luck to all of our racers. This countdown starts now. 20 seconds to go. Or it started about 12 seconds ago, I guess. But the countdown starts now. And we have full comms of the race for the next hour and a half. And depending if they want to join in, Toblerone is saying good luck. Yep. You've also moved to the SRL-50. But we will have a quick look at positions gained. Let's turn off the webcam, but at the end of the race we may have an appearance from the race winner if they want to join the commentary box. Completely up for them, and whoever it is we will not know until 66 laps of racing done here. We go on a formation lap and we'll just enable the correct gap. So let's have the tyres. Let's see what tyres people have started on. Very few drivers on softs, and let's go through, turn off telemetry, and let's just go through. So Struggs starting on the hards. Fence also on the hards in second position. Temp in the Aston Martin. He's the first driver to be starting on a medium pair of tyres, hoping to make grounds in the early stages of this race. Matusas on a pair of hards. AJS Inden also on a pair of hards in 5th position. OS Degrees, he's gotten very aggressive on a pair of softs at the start. Captain Rainbow Fox on a pair of hards. He'll be looking to go long. Girion Tor on a pair of medium tyres. McLeod qualifying 9th. He's on a pair of mediums. 10th for Chonk. Didn't get to take part in Q3 due to a crash in Q2, but starts in 10th position. Joker just missing out at the last due to a invalidated lap time on Q3, so he's in 11th position. He's on a pair of hards. Dead and Paul, he's going aggressive on a pair of softs. Our German race car driver for Alfa Romeo, getting the full-time seat this week. Alex Trent G, he's on a pair of hards, 10th in the championship. Iganja, first race in the SRL-100. Good luck to him on a pair of hard tyres. IBN, he's on a pair of mediums. Wool, he's in the Haas. He's on a pair of softs, starting 16th. Mr. Borbagri, he's also on a pair of hards. Everyone else is on a pair of hards from here. Fade, second in the championship, disqualified from the qualifying, of course, and along with Jordi Alpha Integral and Fade himself, not part of qualifying, so they're starting 18th, 19th and 20th. Expect them to come through the field. But we go. Let's change it to positions. Change the detail. Positions change. Where are his position change? I should have known by now. And we'll go and watch Fence in T2. He's positioned his car leftwards aggressively. Struggs will have to defend from Fence into turn 1 as the final cars line up. Are we going to be able to see the 5 lights here? Yes, 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And the Syndicate goes racing in Portugal. And it's a good start from Fence. It's a very good start from Fence. He's alongside into turn 1. He may take the lead here. But Struggs goes all the way out the outside. Can he hang out all the way around round 2? There's almost contact into round 2. Tempe looks like he's going to go up the inside. But he doesn't make it. Fence and Struggs still too wide. Going through turn 4. That will become the outside for the Tory Vips and run down and down. Tempe is looking like he's going to go up the inside of both of them. Will he go late in the brakes on those medium tyres? Struggs leaving room, but Struggs will have a lot better drive out there, and he gets squirmy too to boot. So Struggs takes the lead, and I don't think there's too much fallout behind Temp falling out further to Fence. He'll be very disheartened by that. Really, really good chance to go and take the lead. But just falling out there. Oh, that was breathtaking stuff. 3 wide through parts of there. And OS Degrees, he's up to 4th position. 2 places gained. AJ's maintained on those hard tyres. Matusas has fallen back 3 places. Chonk, it's not unlikely to see Chonk going up higher there. Oh my lord. He has he's gone up higher and gained 4 positions. Matusas down 3, as I said. Fox down 1, and it's Alpha Integral at the back. I thought it was a Ferrari early doors, but it's hard to tell between the two. Girion Tor, he's in 9th, he's down 1 position. And we go back to the lead of the race as they go down the straight for the first time. It's Struggs from Fence, from Temp. Is anyone close enough here? It's a bit of a DRS train, and it's OS Degrees looking at Temp on those soft tyres, going aggressive and making Temp go offline and running wide to boot. That will possibly be a warning for Temp there. And those warnings will really add up in this race as they go through turn 4, the leading cars, and OS Degrees will look to make a move. Temp is trying to make a move on Fence, and OS Degrees trying to go around the outside there. Is that possible? And Temp just getting offline, and it's really, really slippery on the inside line there. And OS Degrees there has done enough to get into 3rd position on these soft tyres, a lot better tyre compound. And Temp will be frustrated. He wants to go forward on his medium tyres, but it's OS Degrees going forward. Breathtaking stuff at the start here. AJS Inden's fallen down another place for Chonk. He's now at 5 positions, and Chonk will be hungry to join this lead fight. Always confident in his own abilities, and always wanting to make make entertainment in the league, which is great to see, whether it's going forwards or backwards, and sometimes to the detriment of himself. Less to be debated, to be honest, in the Discord. But Chonk up 5 positions at the start. It's been a very good start for him. Alpha Integral was deep down at the back, but he also started at the back. Kevin's fallen down 3 places. Wolf's fallen down 2 places at the back. But we have cars going forward, and OS Degrees making a move on Fence. Does not want to lose sight of Struggs in the lead, and DRS will be enabled from this lap. So Fence is now in 3rd position. We'll have DRS going down from 4 to 5, down to Tory Vips. So we're at turn 3, and oh, Tempe sticking up on the inside, trying to make it too wide there. And oh, he's gone off track. I think he'll have to give that position back. He's overtook off the track there. Have to give that position back, but if he's dangerous here, Chonk will get by. Chonk will be absolutely desperate to get by. Riding inside curb there, not as much traction. Tempe, you can only say that. But now OS Degrees is closing down on our race leader on these soft tyres. You expect OS Degrees to have better pace. And let's have a look, of course, at the telemetry data, so we can see how much EOS has been used up. It's about 30% more from Fade, from Struggs that has been used up. Meanwhile, Fade is up to 10th position, up 8 places from the back of the grid. Geordie's up 5. Alpha Integral, he's up 5 too. And just falling out of DRS at the end of the lap here. Can he do enough to get into the detection zone? 8 tenths, 9 tenths, he needs to be below a second. And looks like it's just going to be above a second as they go through here. And oh, and OS Degrees spins! He spins! He's off the track, but he has spun and he's lost all of that time gained. And he doesn't want to get out of the way. He spots a little gap in the traffic, and I think that's a good spot for him. Does he decide to go straight for the pits? No, he doesn't go straight for the pits, so it's good racing so far. But Temp is... Fence is fighting with Temp. Temp and Fence fighting for 2nd position. This will be music to Struggs here. Struggs is just building a nice little gap, not having to use too much EOS. As Fence spins on the inside, and I think I mean contact with Chonk. Chonk may have had contact with Fence on the inside there. Absolutely stunning stuff from these drivers, but Fence very unfortunate to fall down there, and I think he's fallen quite far behind. There's quite a big gap behind McLeod. He's up into 6th position. starting ninth on the grid. Good start from the Mercedes boys. OS Degrees has fallen back. Captain Rainbow Fox, he's also started falling back. There's all sorts of shenanigans at the back. What is going on in these drivers behind? They're all absolutely fighting tooth and nail over 17th place, 16th place. Captain Rainbow Fox has fallen back at the start here. Geary on tour, making move on Geordie through turn 8. And it's absolutely frenetic stuff up and down the field. Fence now trying to reclaim his fight for the lead, and he's up 8th position. Wool's already got a time penalty for 3 warnings. Chonk, now, he's only 1 attempt down on to Temp. He'll have DRS coming through the final bit of the track. Turn 3, turn 15. He's 3 tenths behind, and he'll sense an attack here. And will he go for the move in turn 1? Will Tempy try to defend it? Temp sticks to the outside. He keeps his line. And does he make it around the corner? He doesn't keep it in track, so he'd have to give that position back, presumably, because he did not make it through. And now that's danger, because AJS Inden looks like he wants to get through. On the hard tyres, AJS Inden slowly crept up here. He's up into 4th position, starting in 5th. And he did fall down to 6th or 7th earlier in the lap. And Temp trying to go around the outside. I think Chonk has to give that place back, and I think that's what Chonk is acknowledging. He has to give the place back, because he run way off the line trying to take that place, similarly to how Fade took the place and Strux, making it hard for him. But he's took the position now, and I think he'll try to race him, but he should just let him have the place. Not too sure about that himself, because he looks like he's still racing. But up the inside of turn 10 and 11, it's not typically where cars go wide, and AJS Inden just desperate to make gains here. These 2 cars have been fighting all the way around the track from turn 1 to turn 10, turn 11. Temp goes off the track, 3 multiple warnings, gives him a 3-second time penalty. Lordy. As we go through the final bit of track, I've no idea who'll have DRS. I think the DRS detector is just here, so it'll be Chonk and AJ with DRS. Those 2 must be clipping and using up a lot of DRS. Actually, it's Chonk who's used the most in these early stages, and AJS Inden will be looking to take it 3 wide. Will he? No, Chonk will take it 2 wide into turn 1. Up the inside, does he get the job done? Around the outside, and he gets it stopped in the right place there. So good time around there. And AJS Inden, he's battling to get through here. I think he's just trying to find a way through, but he can't. These 2 cars are absolutely battling, hammering Tong. Temp now under battle again, under siege again from Chonk, who has DRS, and AJS Inden may be sealing around the outside of Tory Vip here with better traction. Let's go on board with him as they go through turn 6 and up through turn 7. Absolutely fantastic racing from the Syndicate. And through turn 8, it's so hard to go too wide here, so easy to spin as well. And he just gives them enough space on the exit there. As they go through Craig Jones, down the hill, Chonk has got through into 2nd position. Up to 3rd is AJS Inden at a place where he finished the SRL-100, and all 20 cars are still running. It's been absolutely frenetic, and Strux has just checked out at the front. Not bothered at all by the racing behind, happy to have the racing behind in fact. It's a 6-second gap after 6 seconds, a second a gap that Strux has gained at this point. Absolutely stunning stuff from Strux, letting the battle unfold behind him, and it's still 3 cars going wild. Temp from AJ from Chonk, and I think Chonk is starting to pull out a bit of a gap here. Chonk goes to the inside to cover off the slipstream. He gets 1 chance at doing that. Back to the racing line he'll go, I'm sure. And AJS Inden's closing, but he won't be close enough into turn 1. But will he have a look at the inside at turn 3? Turn 2 to go through. Turn 3, just Chonk covering off the inside line, but running very, very wide. That will compromise his exit through turn 4, down to turn 5, where AJS Inden will have DRS, but Tempe wants a piece of the action. And maybe it's Tempe. They go 3 wide into Tory Vip. Is there going to be space for the 3 drivers? Dead in the pool is catching up. I think there may have been a little bit of contact. It's absolutely frenetic stuff. Frenetic stuff from the drivers. And Dead in the Pool is now caught up. It's now 7.5 seconds to lead because of the fighting. So Strux has absolutely checked out. He'll be desperate. There's no safety car call because he can basically manage the race from here. Didn't have a great SRL-50 on Friday, but absolutely nailing the SRL-100 so far. 7 laps in, 7.5 seconds lead. Frenetic stuff, as I've said. And McLeod is in 6th position. He's closing down on this battle. It's now a 4-way battle between Dead in the Pool, AJS Inden, Temp and Chonk. What will happen? So, Chonk won't have DRS here. He'll be under siege. Does Temp look to go for a move here? He'll be closing. Chonk will go to the inside to try and break the toe. He'll hang as far right as possible. And AJ Syndicate will also want to, and he goes, tries to go around the outside. No, he just thinks better of it. He keeps it just inside the white line, so no warning there. And it'll be down into turn 5 again. Up the left-hander at turn 4, and down into turn 5. That will have another overtake attempt. And AJ Syndicate falling behind because he's battling, he's defending from dead in the pool, the Alfa Romeo in his first race in his new permanent seat in the Alfa Romeo car. And Chonk does enough to hold off Temp there. He does enough. So there's no change to position on this lap. After going basically free ride the lap before, Ganja's got 3-second time penalty. OS Degrees languishing at the back after his spin. I think he's probably gone into the pits as well for good measure, because he's 16 odd seconds down on Ganja. Well, 16 plus 6, 22 seconds down on Ganja. So it's Strugs from Chonk. Strugs has got a near 10-second gap. We are now lap 8 from Chonk. Temp is in 3rd position, the Aston Martin. AJ Syndicate in 4th position, he's up 1 place. Dead in the pool, he's in 5th position. Up 7 places, a great start from him. Only getting through to Q2, but making up lots of places thanks to misfortune in front. And McLeod, he's in 6th position, not managed to get into this gap as it echelons across the start-finish straight. Everyone trying to get every little last bit of pace here. Extract it, and it's Temp going up the inside, but I think he's absolutely overcooked it into there, and Chonk has took that position. Oh, the echelons are forming. It's more like watching a Tour de France stage at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic racing from the drivers, but even better for Strugs' championship lead. They're not working together at all at this early stage. Racing hammer and nail, and you don't think this is possible for 66 laps. AJ Syndicate is now caught up with them fighting just in front. And I'll go back to reading off the results. So it's McLeod in 6th, Fence in 7th. Fade, he's up to 8th position. He's battled through from the back to up 10 places. IBM's up 6 positions too. And Alpha Integral, he's a little bit further back, but also up 10 positions. So a good start from him. Captain Raver Fox falling back a spin early doors, I believe. Alex Trent G, he's in 12th. Gillian Tor, he's on 13th. Joker is in 14th. Geordie 15th. OS Degrees 16th. He fell back quite dramatically early on the software tyres, overheating them, spinning him at turn 15, and I think he's pitted for a pair of mediums. He has pitted for a pair of mediums. Wool, he's in 17th position. Bagri 18th. Ganja in 19th. And Matusas in 20th position. All 20 cars running at this stage as they go to do battle down the main straight again. It's AJ Syndicate looking the closest to the pair. Dead in the pool just decides, I'm not joining your fight right and fight left. I'm just going to go down the left. And it's Chonk under pressure. Tempe around the outside. Can he get the job done? AJ Syndicate thinks better of joining that battle, but Dead and Pool's forced to join the battle. He may get around AJ Syndicate there. He does. He does get around him. Does he get the job done? He goes off track a little bit there, but AJ Syndicate's fighting up the inside. And it's all over the place. Tempe looking up the inside. AJ Syndicate looking up the inside of Dead in the Pool. He takes back 4th position. And just a little knockdown. Runs Dead in the Pool wide. But I think all fair racing, in truth be told there. Even if it did push the boundaries just a little bit, I think we all ended up in a position which makes sense after that. And McLeod will be just dying for them to battle a little more, because his pace is not quite enough to get into that DRS zone. Another 6 temps worth of fighting will give McLeod the opportunity to join this and make this a 5-way battle. Meanwhile, Chonk is miles off the lead, 12 seconds off the lead. Strugs could almost pit and take the lead again. I think it's about a 25-second, 26-second pit lane here. Yeah, only one more of those, and Strugs is looking like he can pit again and get out in the lead. So, as we go down the main start-finish again, it's Chonk from Temp, from AJ, from Dead in the Pool for the battle for 2nd place. And they echelon over, Dead in the Pool having nothing of it, but the cars in front are definitely gaining by doing that echeloning. So I think Dead in the Pool should be doing it too, but it's not gaining them anything. And I think Dead in the Pool knows he can have a bit of a slingshot. AJ desperate to get by. I think he feels like he's got the pace. I think all the drivers feel like they've got the pace here. And just absolutely refusing to work together. And there's a bit of contact from AJ. And AJ's now out of this fight. That's a disaster for AJ. Just caught up on the inside. And I just don't think he realised how much room he had to play with there. I think caught up on the side of Chonk. But hard to remember if it's Temp or Chonk, to be honest, in the battle. Disaster for AJ. He's now fallen down into 10th position, down 5 places. Such a good start. I'm sure that will not be good. Maybe a bit of wing damage to boot. Let's go and check how AJ's doing. Does he have any wing damage? You can't see any there, but on those hard tyres he'll be looking to go long. And Struggs is absolutely checked out in front. Fence, meanwhile, Fence has come back and battled through. Fence is, where is Fence? McLeod's there and Fade's up into 7th position. Fade could be joining this battle for second very, very soon. Very soon, you can see them just in front. Just in front. And I take a quick brief breather as Fade, does he take his position here? I don't think McLeod will have DRS, and I think if McLeod's clever here, he'll just let Fade catch up to him in front and use him to catch up to this battle in front. Fade gets the job done into turn 1, not using the stupid fish helmet, using a stupid koi helmet instead, just as bad. But for now, Fade is up in 6th position, up 12 positions in 12 laps. Fence gets a little bit loose out of turn 5. That will cost him a bit of time and leave him into the clutches of Fade. Both of these drivers in 5th and 6th have the pace to lead the race. But due to misfortune, there is a safety car. There is a full safety car deployed. So Chonk has 2nd position from 10th. It's Struggs, Chonk, 10th, dead in the pool. Will Struggs decide to pit? I don't think he will. I think he'll stay on the hards and just try to go long. Will anyone decide to pit? That'll be interesting to watch as Struggs comes through. 16 seconds to lead. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous lead at this stage in time. Obviously circumstantial. I know Struggs has got the pace, but those cars in behind didn't seem to quite have the pace. Struggs doesn't choose to pit, but some cars do. Some cars have pitted, and that is disaster. That is disaster for all those cars. I fail to understand why they pitted, because all of those cars now have to be behind. Wool's going to be lapped by nearly the entire field. They should have gone round and just let the pack close up. But Mr. Paul Bagri may be the only car to get out in front of Struggs there. Matusas is certainly behind Struggs, so he is now a lap down. And effectively, unless Struggs pits next time around, which I don't doubt he will because he's caught the safety car, this is curtains for his race, and Wool, it's curtains for his race. He's already a lap down, and he'll slot out just in front of one of the Aston Martins. We see OS Degrees, he is in the pits. No, Captain Rainbow Fox, I believe. It must be Captain Rainbow Fox. Or one of, maybe Alpha Integral, I don't know who it is. Dead in the Pool. Dead in the Pool has pitted. So Dead in the Pool has pitted for a pair of softs, but has lost a lot of track position there. So I'm surprised so many cars have decided to pit. I don't think the best racecraft for all those cars that have pitted, but you know, I'll stand to be corrected. Let's have a quick look at the tyre change. See where people are. So cars that have pitted under safety car: Dead in the Pool, Geordie, Mr. Paul Bagri, Matusas, he's a lap down, and so is Wool a lap down. It's Ganja who crashed out of the race in his first outing. If you're watching along, Ganja, tell us what happened, pal. It's a shame to see you crashed out so early on. Very unlucky. If you're new to the stream, drop us a follow. We race every 8 PM every Sunday night. Absolutely crazy stuff. I've nearly drunk a whole pint of water trying to keep my mouth dry. Really crazy racing. And Chonk on the medium tyres, fighting Temp, fighting AJ. AJ did remarkably well on those hard tyres to keep in the fight for so long. But AJ has stayed on those hards. He'll have a chance to close up the gap in front. I'm sure after battling it's that hard again, then yeah, but frustratingly for Chonk, he's got 2 cars, I believe, in front of him. He's got so Paul Bagri got through. So he's got Matusas. He's just got Matusas between him, and Wool is slightly further down. Wool is between what car is Wool between? He is behind HS England, I believe, and Giri on tour. Yep, that would make sense. So he'll have to get out of the way at the start. But Matusas already a lap down. He'll just have to get out of the way, and he'll have to basically get out of the way of the whole field because of pitting. When he did, don't think he realised how much time he would have lost under safety car, and he had to basically hope that Struggs would pit, and Struggs didn't pit. So really caught out there, and we'll have cars join the back on the pack. Probably the end of next lap. looking at where Kevin is. Car 17 coming through turn 4 at the moment, and the safety car is coming through turn 13. So definitely next track. I think the next lap it will come in. I think Kev will catch it around here next lap. Is where my guess is. Let's see how close the guess is. Crazy stuff so far. If you're watching along, let us know what you think. Crazy battling. Strugs will have a harder time to pull away from Chonk, I fear, but Strugs will have the benefit of having a car. That's so frustrating for Kev. Racing to get back up into the lead. They cut 2 corners for 1. He'll have about a 5,000 place penalty by the end of the race. Let's have a quick look at the penalties. 12 seconds already for Kev. Wool will have 2 6 seconds and a 5-second penalty, presumably for speeding in the pit lane, possibly for contact. Matusas has a 3-second penalty. There's the cars a lap down. Wool and Matusas. Paul Bagley on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap. Geordie. Matt will get out of the way though, Chonk, right? Matt will get out of the way. I'm sure you'll get away past the blue flag car pretty quickly. So Geordie, he's got a 3-second penalty. Girion Tora, he's got a 3-second penalty. And 10th, our highest place runner with a penalty at the stage time. My mic is very quiet, isn't it? Right, okay. My mic is very quiet. Okay. Well, I thought it was going to be too loud, to be honest, because I turned it down for the battling because I was absolutely shouting and it said it was clipping for me. So, hopefully, is that a bit better? Let me know. Yeah, right, okay, that's good. Right, I was absolutely shouting through those opening moments, so I turned it down, the gain, but it's turned back up again. Details you don't need to know. So, 10th, 3rd position. And the safety car is in this lap, so a big concertina there. I hope everyone got out of the way at Craig Jones. But we'll ride on board for Strugs as a custom at race restarts. Let's ride on board with Strugs. As he goes through turn 14, got to keep it slow. Let the safety car get away. And let's see him have one clear return to racing. He's kept the pace quite high, so left himself, but he's got a buffer of a car. It's one clear return to racing. Chonk with Matusas just in front. He'll be hoping Matusas gets out of the way. Toronto, but Matusas maybe has designs on unlapping himself. Let's see if Matusas will be able to unlap himself. I think if he causes any kind of contact with Strugs, I think there was a little bump there. It would come down very harsh on him, and he's just got to get out of the way of the cars behind now. His race is potentially cooked. Look at this. This is just so sad to see. Will also getting out of the way. Matusas and Will getting out of the way. Now Chonk is a second behind Strugs, so he'll be fighting all the way to keep pace with the car in front, and he'll try not to lose pace to the car behind. Let's go back to the tyre view so we can see some of those cars that pitted under safety car. 3 laps, 4 laps will be their tyre life if they pitted under safety car. Going through turn 14, won't have DRS this lap, and Strugs just struggling a little bit on traction there. Chonk closed down 5/10. I think Strugs knows he's got a bit of a battle on during this phase of the race. During the first phase of the race, he could just conserve, cruise, make sure to open the gap up a little bit, almost had a whole pit stop on everyone else. And he closes down the gap. Quite nicely there. But yeah, look, he extends the gap very nicely through turn 4. Run down to turn 5. Chonk will have to spend everything here to keep within DRS, because that will be crucial for his race, crucial for Fence's race. Fence is somehow back up to 4. AJS Inter battling with Alpha Integral in the backfield. I think Alpha Integral has snuck through, so AJS Inter falls further down after his spin about 10 laps ago. Alpha Integral up into 8th. IBM making a little mistake on the exit of 8, finding that corner very tricky under traction. And Temp. Chonk has now fallen 1.3 behind Struggs. Struggs using a bit of ERS here to break out of that DRS activation. And that's very important for Struggs, because Struggs will want to gap the cars behind. Fence so near Temp. So very near Temp. And Struggs wanting to gap them because he knows Fence and Fade are near. And if he can build up a little bit of a gap, then that makes Fence and Fade's job that much harder of coming through the field. Fence 4 temps down on Temp in front. Also saved a lot of ERS. Saved a lot of ERS. So where can you post a clip of incident? D-Struggs 94. So in as we see Temp go for a move outside of Chonk. I haven't actually put the place up to do that. I've just realised. So that will go up after the race. The place to go up for instance will go up after the race. So that will go up immediately after. You'll be able to post it then. Who is D-Struggs 94? I believe it's Struggs, right? It must be Struggs. But it's saying first time viewer in the chat. So is it Dale? Dale Struggs? Is Struggs the second name? Law here. So anyway, yeah, that will go up after the race. Yeah, apologies, I actually forgot to put that up. So Temp now fighting Chonk, and Chonk will be loving this. Well, he won't be loving this. Struggs will be loving this. And there's a spin at turn 8. It's Wool, I believe, who has spun. Possibly Mr. Borbagri, actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, must have been Borbagri who has spun. Struggs has checked out. Meanwhile, the cars will have DRS. And let's see how the battling is in the mid-pack. Through turn 1. He puts it up the inside. Does he? No, he goes around the outside. There's contact. They're both off the track. That allows Fence through. Fence is now the next car up. Oh, and there's contact between the two. That costs Chonk's time. That does cost Chonk time, but they get through it. And Chonk doesn't lose a position because of it, but Fence does. Just getting too greedy on the entry of turn 3. And Chonk off the track there. I must say, off the track in his pursuit of defence here. And there's contact between the two. Things are starting to get a bit frayed between the two. Chonk and Temp. I mean, I must say, Chonk did go off the track. So, in my opinion, should have to cede position. Eventually he does. But up the inside, he's absolutely battling all the way through. And look at the gap this is producing. And Fence and Fade, they know that. It's creating such a gap. And Fade getting a bit too involved, if anything, but does get by Fence, because Fence was too involved in that battle. So, through we go, around the final corner. And Chonk is now in third position. Temp has managed to keep that on this lap. Fade will close and close and close and hope he can snipe through this battle quickly, because he has a battle with the race leader that he wants to take up, and he doesn't want to get stuck behind this for too long. Oh, and no! Fade absolutely outbreaks himself. Wing damage for Fade. Chonk is out, spun out, and I think Chonk may have a bit of wing damage himself. And you could blame that entirely on Fade, actually, that incident. And now McLeod is up into 4th position. And Fade, who's done all that brilliant work to get through the pack, just needs to get through 2 more cars to reach his teammate. And it's absolute disaster for him, as he must have a bit of wing damage. I'm sure I saw a bit of his wing. If it wasn't his wing, then yeah, look, a bit of wing damage. His right end plate is missing, so he's got wing damage at this stage. So he'll have a real job to keep up with the car in front. And I think Temp's just going to pull out of that DRS zone. And Fade is going to have to work really hard to get in the DRS and then manage the race. Fade may even be pitting here. But Chonk, I think he must have a bit of damage too. Maybe rear wing damage, maybe right front. He's missing right front as well. So he's been going backwards. Very delicate, very upsetting for Chonk to get chonked by Fade. And not in a good way. Fade opts to stay out, but has lost the DRS toe of Temp. Temp now needs to just focus on trying to catch up Struggs And maybe he thinks I don't have to pace to match Struggs. So maybe I just need to keep it nice, clean and serene. Hopefully didn't pick up any rear wing damage from that cannonballing effect of Fade crashing into the back of Chonk and then crashing into the back of Struggs. We have a yellow flag car. We have Captain Rainbow Fox on the exit of turn 1. Chonk saying they all sent it down my inside. What the fuck is this? I don't think he sent it down your inside necessarily. I think he just yeah, post any claps you have, but well, I'll put a place up to put your instant reviews after the race. So Chonk very, very frustrated, having to pit for hards, and basically at the back of this pack now, with only lapped cars behind him. No, Mr. Borbagui is behind him, in fact. So very, very difficult. AJ Sinden, he's back up to 5th position. Chonk saying he has floor damage. That's very, very hard to hear for Chonk. You'll have to manage that through the race, see where you can get back up to. But very disappointing. I guess if you spend that long fighting, you're bound to come stricken. It was 21 laps, 20 laps of fighting with cars at the front. Eventually, you end up losing bits, don't you? So there was, yeah, not much working together in that front pack. I must say the front 4 cars didn't ever seem to want to work together there to catch up with Struggs. And cars went backwards. AJ Sinden up the inside of McLeod at turn 1. His recovery drive continues. And now he'll have Fade next. And AJ Sinden will have the pace to catch Fade. And I think he'll have the pace to catch up with Temp in front. But will he have the pace to catch up with Struggs? Temp doing a decent job, not losing too much time for Struggs. Now he doesn't have to focus on the battling and defending of his places. And there's battling in the mid-pack. OS Degrees makes place up on Dead in the Pool at turn 5. OS Degrees recovering from an early spin up to 8th position. Geary on tour up in 7th position somehow. Let's have a look at the penalties. How are they piling up? 1/3 into the race. So 6-second penalty for Temp at the front. That's going to put pay to a lot of things he could do. He's already 4th on the road with that. Possibly 5th or 6th on the road with that 6-second penalty. Really, that's damaging to his race chances. Geary on tour, McLeod, IBN now on 3 seconds, Geordie 3 seconds, Mr. Borbagui's 15 seconds, Matusas 6 seconds, and Wool 11 seconds. So, Temp running down to T1, trying to maintain that gap in front. Fade falling a little bit behind, but not. Importantly, AJ isn't closing as fast as I thought he would. Not closing as fast as I thought he would. So, lap 23 of 66. Let's just hide that, actually. We don't need that. Let's change it back to tyre, I think. I think that'll be the most interesting thing. A lot of cars yet to pit. OS Degrees, the highest car up, who has pitted. And he pitted for a pair of mediums. He started on softs. So he should be able to go 4 laps, maybe 6 laps longer than the cars on mediums in front. So probably pitting around the times the hard runners will pit. But the tyre he's got to pit onto is a pair of hards. So that's very difficult to make gains at the late stages when so many of the top runners will be switching to mediums. Struggs, Fade, AJ, they'll all be switching to mediums when they can. I think any safety car at this stage, I think cars will start to think about switching to the medium tyre. As we are coming to lap 24, there's a yellow flag in sector 2. It's a Haas who spun at turn 8. Probably a half spin from the track map. And AJ Sinden closing the gap very slightly, 1.7, so it's about 6/10 down the lap before where were people close. IBN's very close to the back of Mac. Very close, and Mac running incredibly wide through turn 1. Trying to carry as much pace through, and IBN is all over the back of McLeod. The AlphaTauri driver runs wide here, so he won't be able to make place, and he'll just have to defend from behind. I don't think he'll be able to go to a move into Tory Vips. So they'll stay in that position once more. Well, also people close, Dead in the Pool. He's fallen down on those pair of softs. He was running so far up. I'm not quite sure why he pitted. Maybe a bit of damage. Maybe deciding he didn't like those hard tyres or medium tyres that he was on beforehand. And he is in 14th position. 8/10 behind Chonk. Joker, I mean. Chonk, meanwhile, is quite far down on the cars in front. He'll be hoping for a safety car. soon and actually gets a 3-second time penalty to boot. Who's in the pits? It's Wool in the pits. And he could be lapped again here. I think he could be lapped by his teammate, Mr. Ballbaggery, and the Tusas running quite far down. The Tusas still being lapped by cars, and Strug's in danger of... oh, this is Kevin being in danger of being lapped for the first time, I think. The Strug's coming through, and look at the front. AJ Sinden has closed down that gap at the front. Only 5 tenths behind now, Fade. So this is for the 3rd place on the podium. 2nd place on the road after penalties are applied. Temp has quite a lot of penalties. AJ Sinden looking for his another podium in the SRL, and he's closing down Fade. Fade does have a bit of front wing damage at this stage of the race. Same tyre compound, and AJ Sinden looks down the inside, but can he make that move stick? You often don't get traction up the inside, and the traction goes to the car on the right, but it can't be too long before AJ Sinden gets getting by, because he's absolutely closing. More pace with a less damaged car. And AJ Sinden is on a recovery drive after spinning out, being involved in the early car between Temp Chonk, AJ Sinden and dead in the pool. They were battling like nutters from about lap 2 to lap 22, I felt like. It was a long time. But AJ Sinden falling out about lap 8 with a spin at turn 4. He's recovering backwards. Only has 1 win in the SRL, unbelievably, at Monza last year. I'm sure AJ Sinden would be absolutely desperate for a 2nd win. He's had some rotten luck this year, really far down in the standings despite having great pace, arguably one of maybe the 3rd fastest car, 4th fastest car maybe in the league this season. He's nowhere near 3rd or 4th, and Fade jinks all the way to the right, almost looked like he was going to go to the pits but just stopped short of it. AJ Sinden closes. What's for Fade has? Fade has a lot more ERS to defend but won't have DRS to defend because he's so far to back of Temp, actually doing a remarkable job not to feel too far behind the pace of Temp, and Temp about 8 seconds behind Strux. He's lost about 3 seconds since the fighting for 2nd position stopped. That early fighting that was costing a lot of a piece there. And AJ Sinden, he's trying to go up the inside again. I don't think he's earned any right there, and a little bit of contact. If that have spun Fade around, you'd have to blame that on AJ, but there was maybe a little bit of contact, but they lived to fight another day. Meanwhile, IBN is under attack from Giri on tour. We saw him trying to pass McLeod, and OS Degrees just meters behind this battle. He'll be desperate to get through. OS Degrees thinks he'll have to pace. He'll look to the outside of Craig Jones. This isn't an overtaking position, but he's thinking about it anyway, just desperate to get by. And no one really wanted to work together today, not want to get stuck in a DRS train. And we saw that earlier, AJ Sinden just couldn't quite pick through around Chonk and Temp, who were absolutely battling. Couldn't get around, couldn't capitalise at any stage, and it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back for lap after lap. Meanwhile, AJ is closing in on the front. This is as close as he's been, but he doesn't have too much ERS to spend. DRS lap opens now. And as they come into turn 1, AJ Sinden will look to the inside and try and get the job done. Into 3rd position he'll go. Can he get the car stopped? They leave room for each other. Sensible racing from the 2. Fade will now struggle to stick to the back of him. AJ slows it down as much as possible to bring his car back under control. And I doubt Fade will be able to return the spot here. AJ Sinden goes defensive. Returns to the racing line for the braking zone. And AJ Sinden up into 3rd position. He's done enough here. He'll be looking forward at Temp. 3 seconds down. He's got 3 seconds gap to close on those. Probably a better time at this stage of the race. The mediums reaching their shelf life very quickly. Anyone on the mediums who started on the mediums, they'll be desperate for some kind of pit stop at the moment. So, McLeod under pressure from IBN at this stage. We'll keep an eye on the front and see if they have any riposte to AJ's attack. But given the wing damage he has, I doubt he does. McLeod fighting very sensibly so far, keeping IBN and Giri on top behind, and OS Degrees. Let's go off board. This will be a 4-way battle to get 5th position here. And IBN goes up the inside. And no, McLeod peels off into the pits. McLeod has peeled off into the pits. We'll keep an eye on him. But as I said, those mediums are reaching their shelf life. That's music to OS Degrees' ears, because he's got 2 medium runners just in front. And he'll try and do the overcut on the cars. So, OS Degrees now only has 2 cars to get by. Fence is now rejoined behind. I don't quite know where Fence went. I can't remember if I saw that or what happened to him. It's sometimes where you need a co-commentator to remind you of such things. But Fent trying to look up the inside of OS Degrees, but OS Degrees also has DRS on the cars in front, so that move isn't going to take place. We have Geordie and Alpha Integral just behind cars that started at the back of the grid. Geordie taking those softs very, very long. He'll have to pit soon on those. They must be absolutely dead wearing his purple helmet. It's apparently respects to the Queen, but that's not how I'd respect her, in the Strugs way with the purple helmet. So, we have OS Degrees up into 7th position. And I don't think he's up in 7th position. I think he's under attack from Fence here, and he is under attack from Fence. So Fence showing great pace on those hards that he started on. Does any other car decide to pit? IBN feeling like he has a bit of pace unlocked, and McLeod is got a bit of clean air himself. 8 seconds behind Captain Rainbow Fox. IBN does pit, so we'll see if the overcut or the undercut has worked here. It'll be the overcut if it works for IBN, the undercut if McLeod gets ahead. We'll see how these cars pit. So IBN and Giri on tour, they're pitting. There's a spun car, of Joker. No, Matusas has spun. He's a few laps down and must be suffering some kind of damage. And he serves a 5-second penalty. Oh no, he's getting a wing adjustment there. I'm not quite sure, but IBN does lose out to Giri on tour there. And do they do the overcut on McLeod? I think they have handsomely done the overcut. Massively. And IBN may still get out in front of McLeod, despite having a bit of an adjustment on his front wheel. And they tried to go too wide, and IBN leaves a lot of space out, a lot of respect for his fellow racer, and decides it's not worth having a collision turn 1. And there is a slower going car. Matusas, I believe, has retired into the pits, so his day is over. Safety car shouldn't have to come out for that. But we have Fence now 5 seconds down on Fade. OS Degrees, he's 8/10 down on Fence. I think he'll be looking to make up some time here. But those hards, I think, maybe in better shape than those mediums at this stage. And who's got going out the pits? It must be. See, this is what happened. Like, he retired in the pits, but then he comes straight out the pits. So, unfortunately, I'm not sure what quite we could do about that. But Fence, temper's dropped down. He's going to the pits. He's changing onto the hard tyres. Where will he come out in front of? Important for its race that he doesn't fall too far back. And he's doing the undercut on the cars around him. AJ Sinden has made up room up in 2nd position. I think he was catching Temp. So Temp's decided to pit, and he's behind Joker. So he'll take a lap or so to warm up those tyres. But will the overcut work for AJ Sinden? Will AJ Sinden try to cover off the overcut? I think 30... he won't actually, because medium tyres, 36 lap on medium tyres, he'll go for a big offset here, I think, and hope that Temp gets caught up. But you have to imagine that Temp will have a bit more pace in these early changes. It's good racing from Temp. And AJ Sinden, also good racing to stay out. 8.5 seconds is the gap to Strugs. That is coming down a bit. So Strugs now needs to wake up from his comatose slumber and get out of it, because he's of course been leading the race with no real threat for about 28 of these 30 laps. So he's been leading the race with no real threat, and now AJ Sinden is absolutely clawing that gap down. It's down to 8 seconds. Strugs now has a battle with AJ Sinden. If AJ Sinden pits first, I think he'll go hang for a safety car. I think they'll both go hang for a safety car, in my opinion. Fade dropping a little bit of weight, remarkable pace. Given that he's got that front wing damage, you'd have to imagine he'll get that fixed at the pits. And Fence, only 4 seconds down here. Recovery drive again from Fence. So about 2 laps even away from the halfway mark. So, Sector 2, there's a spin. Looks like Wool has spun. And, no, it's Bor Bagri. So we'll change the gap to leader. And yeah, we got Bor Bagri and Wool are quite far down. They're also quite far down as well. But, look at the gap. That has absolutely been sliced Struggs is now only leading by 7 seconds. That gap has come down by 2 seconds over the last few laps. This race is absolutely on. AJ Sindon sensing, putting pressure on, and Struggs knowing that his race isn't with AJ Sindon. He just needs to keep a gap to Fade to extend his championship lead. As we see a Haas off on the infield at the exit of turn 14, entry to turn 15, trying to rejoin the track. Think he's going to be able to do it fairly safely from there. And let's just follow on board with that. That'll be interesting to see if he gets... Oh, his just tyres have overheated. And I usually think at this stage... Oh, that's a bad rejoin. That's a bad place to rejoin, I think, there. I think usually at this stage it's just time to put an AI and let those tyres cool down under AI. Take whatever time you've left. And that was a bit of a bad rejoin there from Kev, truth be told. But the gap is now down 6 seconds. Pace is absolutely there for AJ. Temp's got past Joker. 9-second penalty, of course, the Temp has. And AJ Sindon getting past a lapping at the Haas. 5.8 seconds, kicks out of him very nicely. 5.8 seconds is the gap. Struggs using a bit of ERS too. It's not like he's cruising with the ERS. So, AJ Sindon taking the race here to the race leader. Both on the same set of tyres. Both will be switching to medium. Anytime now, really. Anytime now they'll be able to switch to that medium. Let's have a look at the tyres. So IBN, he is behind McLeod still after pitting a lap later, having a bit of front wing damage. I think fixing that front wing damage has left it behind McLeod. A Chonk in 13th position. He'll be running extra long on those hards. He may even be able to take them to the end and just see what he can pick up after disastrously being bumped by Fade from behind. Fade will be under investigation from the stewards for sure for that. Chonk already asking, already saying what the hell's gone there. The instant area will go up at in the Discord after the race. Directly after the race you'll be able to post your instance. So please get them in. Follow the new format for raising the incident, replying to the incident, and any penalty removal requests. Make sure they follow the format that have been posted. If you're new and following along for the first time, welcome aboard. This is the SRL-100 round 8 of season 2. Struggs is 4 seconds and that gap is closing rapidly. AJ between Struggs. AJ's absolutely got the bit between his teeth, closing down the gap in front. He may have the most uncomfortable wooden chair to race on tonight, but he's certainly making use of it. And Fade, that gap, let's switch this back to interval. That gap slightly growing. Fade has the pace to win the race, but has front wing damage after an instant with Chonk early on. Fence in 4th position. He's just set the fastest lap of the race. And Struggs is apparently fuel saving. Keji, thanks for that. Keji saying that Struggs is fuel saving. So, wondering how much that Struggs has under fueled here. So, thanks for that information. Keji works very closely with Struggs, of course, and is basically his driver coach for this league. And it appears that Struggs is fuel saving, so that would explain where some of that pace is coming from. But AJ Sindon not feeling like he has to fuel save at this time, so maybe has more fuel on board, or maybe just thinking I'll deal that problem later on, hope for another safety car. Maybe Struggs deciding maybe there isn't a safety car from here, as the Haas of Paul Baggery, I believe, gets out of the way for these cars of Fence and Fade in 3rd and 4th position. And Struggs seems to have kept that down. TNF Ice Swags, thanks for following. Appreciate the follow. Only 4 away from that elusive 50 mark, whatever that gives you. And AJ Sindon now finding it hard to close down that gap. But Fence all over the back of Fade here. And AJ Sindon's gone for the pit stop. AJ Sindon's gone for the pit stop. We'll ride on board with Fence because he'll surely try and take position into T1. Fade is in 2nd position. He doesn't have that much to defend with. And it just looks like he runs out of velocity at the end of straight. Reaches terminal velocity, not enough speed to overtake. Maybe has more downforce on the car, which makes it difficult to overtake. But he'll definitely try and go for the overtake into turn 5. Out of turn 4. Will he try and go around the outside? He does go very deep on the brakes and tries to go for the old slingshot up the inside, but better traction on the exit of Tory Vips turn 5. And Fade clings on for another day. Fence absolutely desperate, I presume, to get back because he has got the pace to win. Struggs saying to me yesterday that he didn't feel confident about this race, but so far, 35 laps in, just over half race distance, everything is played in his hands. Only a bit of fuel saving is the only thing to note. 4.2 seconds was the gap when AJ Sinden came in. He's now on those medium tyres and looking to get the undercut. Will Struggs reply and come into the pits this lap? He doesn't. He goes longer, so he'll want the tyre offset. He don't mind losing a little bit of that time as long as he's got fresher tyres. And maybe it could be a case of AJ Sinden missing out through the safety car coming out at this stage. And AJ Sinden on the medium tyre, those will be starting to warm up. Let's see if he can start putting in fastest laps. That'll be a good sign that he's closing that gap to the leader. And let's actually check what the gap to the leader at the moment. It's 30 seconds. As Fade, I think Fade has come into the pits, has he? No, he's lost position. And Paul Baggery's retired from the session inside of turn 8. And that's a safety car. That is a safety car. So Struggs will surely come into the pits at the end of this lap. And cars behind him will start to pit. Alex Stretch G dives to the pits. This is a great chance for any of the hard runners to go onto the pits. OS Degrees will be frustrated. Just gone onto the hards a couple of laps earlier. And definitely had the pace on the mediums to go along on the mediums. So wasn't forced his hand to pit at that stage. And I'm unsure why this Alpine is not getting out of the way. Oh, not going past. It must be Joker, correct? He's not going past the safety car. He has gone past the safety car now. So Struggs must come into the pits this lap. Let's say if AJ's done enough, but that will be a cheaper pit stop. When I attack the Williams either in this race or for the rest of the season, just look back on lap 20 of Portimao. I think it's a moment that changed the world, didn't it, Chomp? Lap 20, Portimao. They'll be speaking about this in centuries to come. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say there. When I attack the Williams either in this race or the rest of this season, just look on like... Is that you justifying any kind of mistake you make against them or how aggressive you are? Because I don't think you could be any more aggressive, Chomp, without causing an incident. And OS gets a Delta penalty. Oh, Delta penalty. Chonk very, very frustrated from an incident with Fade early on. Just so you know, when we review incidents, Chonk, we don't look at past incidents, so you can't use anything to justify anything in that sense. Try and follow the league code of conduct, even if it doesn't go well for you. So Struggs does pit, and Fence pits, and Fence actually takes position from AJ, falling out of line, taking that early gamble. AJ has actually cost himself, but now it's Struggs from Fence from AJ, probably the 3 quickest runners. Fade will also be quick. Have they fixed his front wing? I hope they have. Let's have a quick look at his car. Yeah, the right end plate is there, so he has fixed that car. If there's no underbody damage from the earlier attack on Chong, let's call it that, then he'll be able to join that fight. Temp pitted a lot earlier and because remained in front of Fade here, but that safety car has caught. Well, actually, Fence has fallen behind AJ here, so peculiarity there. I don't quite know what's happened there. This rear diff and underbody damage is horrible. Fence saying his rears just disappeared. They look like they're on for me. No, but what happened? Did you just fall behind? So Chonk saying he's got rear and underbody damage from his incident earlier, and they're all starting to reform here. So this will be, I believe, the structure, the leaderboard as we go into lap 38 and lap 39 maybe is when the safety car will come in, looking at the gaps currently in play. But let's just see. So Struggs from AJ from Fence, and AJ has a penalty. I'm not quite sure when AJ got that penalty, but he's got a 5-second penalty for speed. So he's come to the speeding in the pit lane. He's got a 5-second penalty. That will frustrate AJ no end. A big penalty, and presumably not hoping to stop again. Hard to mediums, so a small mistake there, returning to the pits, and that could cost him big time. He'll have to hope for a late safety car, maybe able to ditch it for a pair of softs, but I'm sure the cars around him will also go for a pair of softs. So it'll be a real battle this, and OS Degrees will have to fall behind, has that drive-through penalty. Captain Rainbow Fox, I must say, languishing at the back, but the final car on the lead lap just behind Durden the Pool. And I mean, ideally, right, it won't wait for Wool because he's a lap down. But is he a lap down? I presume he is a lap down, right? If he is a lap down, then it shouldn't really wait for him, really, because he's lap down anyway. But I think it will wait for him. I don't think he'll get onto the back of the pack at lap 37. So it may be lap. Yeah, so he's on lap 37. You can see when I flick between the two, he's on lap 37. So lap 39 is when it will come in because Wool hasn't caught up to the back of the pack. And that's another lap led for Struggs. I think he's led all the laps in the race, I think. Fence briefly took it up the inside of T1 on lap 1, but wasn't able to maintain it, and then was involved in a big battle behind, spun out. And OS Degrees was the car going forward at that time in the early races, in the early stages of the race, but fundamentally didn't manage to keep P1 because of spinning out on those soft tyres, I think really overworking them. Then we had a massive battle between Temp AJ, Chonk and Dead in the Pool for about 8 laps of craziness between them. Fade made his way through the pack, and by the time he caught up with the pack, made contact with Chonk right at the front after looking only about 4 seconds away from Struggs at that point, and that gave him wing damage. That has made him fall down to 5th position, but that wing damage is now fixed, and we will have a safety car in on this lap because the pack has reformed, and Struggs is, I think, trying to keep a bit of heat into his engine and over-rev it, or it's just that awful glitch is still in the game. Probably that one more likely, but we'll have a quick look at the tyre detail. So mediums for the first 3 cars, Temps on a pair of hard. He'll presumably fall back on those. Fade in 5th position, he's on a pair of medium tyres. OS Degrees hard tyres, he pitted just before the safety car, I'm sure frustrated by that, and also has a drive-through penalty to serve. Gideon Tor in 7th position for the Aston Martin. Team Geordie in 8th position. Alpha Integral in 9th, hasn't made the progress I think he'd hope he would make. Chonk in 10th, obviously having that ding-dong with Fade earlier on. Chonk acting very emotively in chat to that, and suffering rear diffuser and underfloor damage, but will ride on board with Struggs as he takes control of the pack behind. It's Williams Racing car 25, with the distinctive purple helmet. As he comes around the final corner, we'll ride on board to make sure it's one clear restart, as we do with all runners, the responsibility to do one restart, and it's a good restart. AJ Sinden falls a little bit behind. Fent he's under more pressure from Fence, but Temp also putting Fence under pressure. Concertina of pressure into turn 1, and they all just spread out through the first few corners. Natural field spread starts to take hold, and AJ Sinden battling. I'm sure Struggs will do everything. Already used up about 35% of deploy to try and break the gap on AJ Sinden down into the first corner, and there's a spinner. It's Dead in the Pool. He's spun at turn 4. Hope there's no contact there for Dead in the Pool, and AJ Sinden will do everything to keep in front of the cars behind and fundamentally keep within a second of Struggs. Struggs has supreme pace around here. Fence also probably having the best race pace, at least on the SRL-100. Great race pace, and Struggs will be really looking keenly at his teammate Fade and making sure that he's not in a position to battle. And Struggs runs a little bit wide at turn 13. That will compromise his exit. That closes down the gap. There could even be a chance at an overtake early doors, but oh, and Struggs all over the place, looking a bit squirmy, loose and leery through turn 15. There could even be an opportunity, but Fence is also really close up the backside of AJ. AJ goes defensive up the inside, looking for the place, pulling away, and Fence sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Fade is falling backwards from this opening 3, and Struggs under real pressure here, taking a very shallow line. Fence trying to maximise through the corners, I don't think there'll be an overtake through to Tory Vip without DRS. Alex Trent G in the backfield, getting ahead of OS Degrees. OS Degrees falling backwards. I think OS Degrees has pitted actually, so that's why he'll be falling back. And I absolutely agree, it is some great racing from your brother and his championship contenders, and as well as race contenders for this race. So, Strugs from AJ, from Fence, from Fade. They're all within DRS distance from each other. Temp falling a bit back. Fade has actually got by Temp on this lap, so good credit to him. Only the Williams boys of these opening 10 drivers don't have some kind of penalty. ADS Inden probably got the biggest penalty out of the top 4 with that 5-second penalty that he currently has. Fence, I believe, just a 3-second penalty. And AJ Inden just starting to fall out of that 1-second gap. He'll do everything. He'll deploy every little bit of ERS he's got to stay within that 1 second. And I think he's done just enough. But he'll be under so much pressure from Fence behind as they go past the activation zone. I believe he didn't. No DRS is open this lap, is it? So it's no DRS here. And AJ Strugs has started to pull that gap up. A bit of a shoddy first lap. But he may have DRS as they come out of turn 3 and turn 4. The activation zone is just here. And let's see where that gap is. Yep, he should have DRS here as they come out the hill. Be able to defend from Fence, be able to close that gap just a little bit. But this is crucial for Strugs' race. If Strugs can break this gap, then there may not be a safety car from here. And Strugs can build a gap and manage it for the rest of this race. Absolutely crucial for Fence to get by. And Fence will battle AJ, but it may not be a good idea to battle AJ this early on, because AJ will start to fall away from Strugs. And Fence is really struggling with traction, trying to get past in the dirty air of AGS Inden. And AGS Inden falling behind. I mean, it will make AGS Inden susceptible to attack, but not being in that DRS train could really open up the gap for Strugs. So good racing from him, good race management, tactical, psychological management of this race. And Fade, 1.5 seconds off the back of Fence, isn't in this battle for second position. AGS Inden falling back. I think he may realise this isn't worth fighting. Let Fence get by and hope that something else can open up for him later on. You never know what's going to happen in this league. You look at last time round, Strugs, it's Fade and Scholar Bull, fighting. And just screaming up the inside there. And I think they're leaving enough racing room for each other. It's good racing from the pair. AGS Inden will probably just tuck it behind and think, right, can Fence carry me forward? Can I just stay in the DOF of Fence and hopefully Fence can close down that gap? That would be the safe thing to do. But no, he goes for the inside. He isn't giving up on second place that easily, but he does make a bit of contact. Decides, no, I don't want to take a position like that. So backs behind. But that loses another 6 tenths. This is why battling sometimes isn't in your best interest. Even though you're going to lose a position, you could gain a couple of positions if later on Fence and Strugs come into trouble with each other. But Fence has got to be within DRS range and be next to Strugs for them to come into any kind of blows with each other. So fighting sometimes, strangely, doesn't work out for you. And with roughly 23 laps to go remaining, the gap is 2 seconds. And Fence has it all to do to close down that gap. Strugs has a little bit less ERS, so Fence does have a little bit more ERS to burn through here. And we know Fence has got good pace, but he does have a penalty. And looking at everyone, Fade has fallen down behind. Fade has fallen way behind. So Fade having a problem at some point during that battle. Consequential for the championship. Strugs won't care too much for the race win. He will care for the race win, it's Strugs for goodness sake. But he won't care too much because his championship battler is out of the points. It'd be a 25-point gain. And it looks more like this is Strugs' championship to lose. We say with only 6 races to go after today's running. We are at China next week. And I tell you what, China is a very strong track for Strugs. Been racing with him in a few casual lobbies, and he can dominate anywhere, but he can really dominate at China, at Singapore coming up, at Japan coming up. We had Belgium earlier this year, which he absolutely loves, and a little bit for the moment out of turn 8 there. A little bit of a moment, lost a couple of attempts, 3-4 attempts, going down Craig Jones. Up into turn 10 is when he'll stop the rot of that little mistake out of turn 8. It's a fine margin game motor racing, but Strugs is in the lead, 1.5 seconds, and he knows he can manage that gap to cars behind because the cars behind have penalties, and Strugs doesn't have penalties. He's been able to run a very nice, clean race in front, leading every lap so far. 3 seconds is the gap, and there is an instant. I believe McLeod and Captain Rainbow Fox have come to blows at turn 10 and 11. McLeod going for another spin just for fun. But, oh dear me. Hopefully that won't be a safety car as Fence closes up the gap in front. And it's interval. AJS Inden falling behind. The Red Bull driver falling behind. 8 seconds worth of penalties. Well, he's got a 3 second and a 5 second penalty that could be wiped out at a pit stop to boot. So, really struggling at this point. Fence closing down that gap. He is coming. He is coming, Fence. You sense, as long as he can keep it clean, this could be his first SRL-100 wins, but he needs to catch up with Struggs, and he needs to take the lead, and he needs to gap 3 seconds, or hope that Struggs comes into some kind of penalty. So, we have just 21 laps to go. And it's been some great racing. As you look at those turbines on the hill, it may be a really windy day, but this game does not program those turbines as a turn. Looking at the undulating terrain near the Port-au-Prince province of Portugal, very near the coast, usually a track designed and built for bike racing instead of driving, and obviously not on the calendar this year, but has a contract with Formula 1, therefore can be put in the game as the first DLC pack. And it's a 4.6 kilometre up and down undulating track, and Fence closes it down very slightly, and Struggs having to use up a lot more ERS than Fence. Fence has the pace here. Can he have the consistency to come up to Struggs? Struggs finally under pressure. It only took 46 laps for a car to come and put pressure on Struggs. And Struggs, you know, you still have to race. It's like being a goalkeeper in a match for 89 minutes and not having to make a save. If there's a shot on goal at 90 minutes, you've got to make that save. You've got to be switched on. And this is where Struggs' his hopefully psychological prowess will come to the fore, and he'll be able to stop Fence from attacking, because Fence has had it all to do up and down the whole pack, but that impetus will come from him. That will give him so much fuel that he's now back in the fight after spinning out so early on, and he's almost under that second barrier. But can Struggs get the mental fortitude to fight that off, to ward that off like a goalkeeper making a critical save, his first save in the match 92 minutes into a game? Fence just tantalising, teasing with the DRS detection zone here. He's just dipped under, he's just dipped over. I think he's going to be just over. You don't think he'll have DRS this lap? The DRS activation zone was right there. He was about a second as he went over it. Does he have DRS? He does have DRS. So here comes the pressure from Fence. He sets the fastest final second 6 seconds to the boot, and probably one of the fastest times of the Grand Prix. The gap is now only 8 tenths, and Struggs is under pressure for the first time in this Portugal Grand Prix. Round 8 of the SRL. Our championship leader under pressure from Fence. Fence not in the title contention this year, but would dearly love a win. Absolutely love a win. He's had the pace all weekend. What can Fence do? 6 tenths is the gap, and he just needs to stay in this, and it's 4 tenths. That gap closes and closes and closes, and maybe Struggs will think, I don't need to fight this. Look at what happened last weekend with Skull the Bull. Yes, Skull the Bull had a 3 second penalty more than Fade, but they both had a ding-dong with each other, and it was both of them going backwards. And it'll look at where Fade is. He's in 13th position, and it'll look at the championship and think, that's what I want to win. The championship is my ultimate goal. So Struggs will think, oh dear, Fence has just done a little half spin. That's cost him DRS fundamentally, and it's cost him about 8 tenths, a little bit of confidence, and there's nearly another spin there. So just overworking his tyres a little bit more. So Struggs just keeping it calm, composed, knowing that even if Fence catches up, even if Fence passes, he could just DRS zone it to the end of the race. And frankly even, Struggs is the championship leader by a considerable margin already. He'd be getting 25 points on his teammate as it stands. Obviously a long way to go, just under a third of this race remaining. He'll hope that he can just, even 18 points would be great. A great boon to his championship struggles. So we only have 3 cars out so far. They're Mr. Borbagri, Matusas and Iganja. Struggs' younger brother at the back of the grid in 20th position. DNF. I say younger brother. I think he's his older brother, right? But I'll say younger brother just because younger member of the Discord. They're both twins. And both at the bottom and top of the championship. Struggs means a lot to him this championship, and absolutely will want to take this win, but he'll want the championship more than just this win, so it won't cost him anything. And Fence has now fought back into that DRS zone. About 5 tenths he's wiped off here, and it's just not getting into the EOS there. He's not just trying to hold off the EOS. Similar levels of EOS. Fence having to use the EOS here, and AJS Inden is just trying to gap an Alpha Integral. A wild Alpha Integral appears. He's been nowhere all weekend, but he's up into 4th position. Temp into 5th. He's been around top 5 for the most of the race. Giri on tour only 7 tenths behind and will be in front on penalties. I wonder if there'll be a team order soon to let him go by. Chonk, with all that damage, is yeah, I think Fence has fallen slightly further behind. But as Geordie comes out of the pit, was it Chonk on Geordie? I think Geordie may have. Where did Geordie come from there? I think Geordie went for a move. Wild move, but good racing from the two. And Geordie off track there, so won't be able to take the position because he's gained from there. But I think he's going to go. No, he's not. He's backing away from it, knowing that he cut the corner before, so gaining extra track time there would not have been deemed a valid move from Geordie. So has backed out of it, but Fence started to fall behind. The pressure's starting to show, and Struggs has started to rebuild some of his confidence. Is Fence just backing away, trying to charge his tyres for the final few laps? Let's look at tyre life. I believe it's absolutely bang on the same tyre life. AJS Inden picking 2 laps before the safety car in 3rd position, but he's roughly 4 seconds behind. Any mistake here will be absolutely crucial to their race with only 16 laps to go. Alpha Integral closing that gap down, I think a little bit extended over those laps. 5 seconds into the gap between Alpha Integral and AJS Inden. What penalties are they on? So Alpha Integral on 3rd spot as it stands, and AJS Inden would love to build that gap to about 8 seconds. We'll see how he can do with that. So, Portuguese Grand Prix has been a thriller so far, and it's only 1.2 seconds to gap between Fence and Struggs. Before talking about penalties, let's not focus on the penalties for now. It's a long way to go. And Fence has the pace here. Struggs is just trying management of the race, but I know Struggs won't over-race here. He won't push himself beyond what he's capable of. He'll know very much where his limits are, where he should push, where he should try and keep. And I think Struggs would settle for 2nd place, but like a little moment for Fence. Fence just keeps flirting with the DRS and having a little bit of a moment out of one of the corners, and that is a big corner to have a moment out of, because it costs you a lot of time all the way down the straight, and it just gets harder and harder and harder to envisage that Fence will be able to do enough to take this win, at least without Struggs taking a penalty. And Struggs racing absolutely flat out now. Managed his pace earlier on to bring down some of the fuel over usage that he had, just in case there wasn't another safety car. And it is quite a difficult track for using up fuel because of the long straights, and saving fuel requires quite a lot of lifting and coasting. So understandable that he lost about 4 or 5 seconds through that phase of the race, but the gap is just stabilised at 1.5 seconds. Meanwhile, Giri on Tour's caught up behind Temp, and Fade has just made a pass on Captain Rainbow Fox at turn 1. I think he went off the track though, so he's given the place back, and he'll have another go at him. This is for 10th position, and no penalty for either of these drivers. Captain Rainbow Fox will try and put his car in the best position to defend. He decides that's up the inside. Fade tries to go up the inside, but if we've seen this before, that you just get so much better traction on the exit, and he comes back, and look who's just behind trying to capitalise on it. OS Degree, so that becomes the outside for 7. And he tries to get up the inside for 8. That's a lovely move if he can make it stick. That is an absolutely scintillating move from Fade. And now OS Degrees is right behind, trying to pick up any scraps from these two battling. They're still too wide as he come up for turn 10. And that becomes the inside for turn 11 for Fade. So Fade taking that position, but he'll be under threat for DRS. And Fence has fallen a further second behind on this lap. So there's 4 starting to sizzle out. At the front, the sizzle starting to fall out even. And OS Degrees just a few tenths behind his teammate. on supposedly slower compound tyre, but showing good race pace. And Captain Rainbow Fox would dearly love to take that 10th position back. That point for Ferrari means a lot for him in their battle with Alpine. As they close down. I don't think he's going to be quite there, but he'll hopefully go for something into turn 4. Neither of Ferraris currently in the points on the road. And Joker getting a couple of points for the Alpine team. I don't think he'll be sneaking through for the race win, but a big threat to him in the championship because of that race win last time out. I think 50 points of Alpine's 80 or so come from 2 race wins. Absolutely fanatic form that those cars have had. Girion Tour still behind 10th, and I think he's fallen a couple of seconds behind 10th. Truth be told, Fence is 2 seconds behind. That gap of the top 4 staying quite consistent, and the same. Captain Rainbow Fox staying within the DRS range of Fade. Maybe he'll just use Fade and work together with him to close down that gap to Joko. But Fade has spun! Fade has spun! All that hard work, he'd got back up into the points. And Fade's weekend, you have to say it's possibly over here, and that leaving it a nice gap to rejoin into traffic. Good job by Fade there. But you have to say, I don't think he'll be getting points out this weekend. He'll have to hope for some DNFs. That's a big disappointment for him. Just overworking his tyres. And now Captain Rainbow Fox back up into the points. I think he wants to use Fade to close down that gap on Joker, who of course is the rival in the championship for second place in the Constructors. Ferrari of course won the Constructors last year, but Williams have absolutely romped to victory in that one. You could basically call victory already, even though we have 6 races remaining after this one. Struggs is... Chonk has got Geordie. Fade lost vibration because his batteries died low. That sucks. Okay, thanks for the update, Keji. So that's what made Fade spin. His batteries died. Reminds all racers, switch your batteries before the race. You never know when they're going to die. That absolutely sucks. And if you lose vibration, you do lose basically the feedback of the road on your hands. So, Struggs in first position, managing that gap beautifully. 12 laps to go, and they'll have yet another race win under his belt. Although he's led almost every lap, there's been racing action everywhere on track, and the Captain Rainbow Fox closing down that gap. And Geordie just behind Chonk, desperate to get back behind in front of Chonk now, and he's clipping so early on the straight. That is not going to help him, but he will have DRS. Chonk using a little bit of ERS, but it's clipping. You might as well not have it on if you're clipping. And I think Geordie just needs to charge a bit of ERS and stick behind Chonk. But I feel like he feels like his race is slipping away from him. What kind of penalties does Geordie have? Obviously coming back through the grid. Let's have a quick look at the penalties. It is 3 seconds is the penalties that Geordie has. So he'll want to build that gap to Joker and get in front of Chonk, who has 6 penalties on the road. Chonk is behind Geordie, of course, and Joker is getting caught up by Captain Rainbow Fox here. Coming alive at the end of the race is this race for 9th position. Geordie all over the back of Chonk through the middle sector. We'll keep an eye on that down to turn 1. There is a spinner of Alex Trent G, not having a good weekend as last weekend, I believe, grabbing 3rd in one of the races, possibly 4th in the feature race and 3rd in the sprint race, if I remember it correctly. After the penalties were applied, AJ Sinden's got in front of Fence. Fence has spun at turn 1. Fence has spun. So, I mean, consequently, that means Struggs, as long as there's no late spin, has definitely won this one. But Fence is roughly 4 or 5 seconds behind AJ Sinden. Will have hot tyres. And that 8-second penalties that AJ Sinden has, one for speeding in the pit lane, presumably, the other for corner cutting. If Alpha Integral and Fence can have a battle, this may be 2nd position for the 2nd time this year for AJ Sinden. He got 2nd from Struggs as well in Canada. A race that AJ Sinden really could have won, but just made a mistake. And now that gap is 5 seconds, 6 seconds to race leader Struggs. Struggs surely has this one in the bag. It's be one of our first Grand Shalom's, I believe, as he's led every lap of the race, Struggs, and took pole position. That's a Grand Shalom. It will be the first one of the championship, and I think of the SRL. I don't think there was any Grand Shaloms last year. So Fence really struggling on drive. Alpha Integral will have a sniff at him into turn 1. The racing speed of Alpha Integral has not been quite up to his normal standards, and Fence goes to the pit. Fence decides, I've had it with these mediums, I'm going on something else, but he'll fall further down the order. He's DNFing. He is DNFing from the race. He's giving up on the race. That could have been 4th position. That is absolutely gutting. Getting through 56% of the race, and he have DNF'd. They will change his tyres. They'll let him go presumably, but he'll come out and he won't. He'll just get in the way. So we'll go on board with Fence as he DNFs to make sure that it doesn't get too much in the way. But I think usually into turn 1, if you go in front of the cars, watch what it does. It will like get right on the inside of the corner and just go really slow. And if you're coming hurtling towards it, as IBN is now, that could really get in the way. He could get in the way of his teammate actually, but I think that's okay. So he's got out of the way. That's the downside of retiring in the pits. So now HS Inden is definitely securing 3rd position. Can he build that gap up to 8 seconds? Alpha Integral losing a bit of time, I think, stuck up behind the returning to the pits Fence there. Alpha Integral up into 3rd position, attempt nowhere near the podium after the penalties are applied. And let's put on the webcam as it won't be blocking anything in these final stages of the race. Let's put that on. I believe Woolwit is the bottom car in 16th position now, but a few laps down. But it'll be good for him to finish, as he's not been able to finish any of them. So Fence saying, I was lifting and coasting so hard, yet still I didn't gain any fuel. That is, yeah, this track is really harsh. You saw why Struggs was so heavily lifting early on. One of the first races I did around here, I massively underfueled the car. And there's only been 2 safety car periods, I believe, which is fairly low for a 100% race. I put it as a medium chance for safety cars in my race notes. But Alpha Integral has 6 seconds to AGS Inden. That is the battle at the moment. But Captain Rainbow Fox has caught up to Joker, and Joker's caught up to Chonk. So this will be 6th position, 9th position, 6th and 8th position. 6th position they're battling over for after the penalties are applied, and they'll be desperate to get by. But this is good, because at the moment I think whatever points Joker will get will equal what Fox gets and the OS Degrees gets. So this battle for 2nd place in the championship between these 2 cars, quite important. But Aston Martin picking up a big haul of points this weekend with their cars in their current positions. We'll have to see where they finish, but I think it'll be 4th and 5th. 5th for 10th, 4th for Giri on tour after the penalties are applied. But we'll just have to see where that ends up. But a good call of points for Aston Martin, with the reserve drivers taking place. Ruggiff and Lou not racing this weekend. As Captain Rainbow Fox looks up the inside of Joker. This is very important to the battle for 2nd place in the Constructors. But Joker looks up the inside of Chonk equally. And it's a difficult one when you change your line, but it's difficult to call it anything bad if you defend your line but you're also attacking another car. It's difficult to be aware of both things at the same time. And Joker will just, I think he'd be happy with where he places at the moment. If he gets by Chonk and can gap him a little bit more, that'll be important. But Joker will have the drive, and OS Degrees may look up the inside. No, he backs out of it, knows that he's working together with his teammate in front. 6th is probably their optimum stopping place. If they can get into 7th position, then that would be 6th on the road, because Chonk's 6 seconds worth of penalties. Neither Joker, Fox or OS Degrees has a penalty this late into the race, and that is very good driving from those 3 drivers. Very easy to pick up warnings on the first corner and cutting other corners around this track. So easy to fall into a dip. So this is a battle for 6th position with just over 7 laps to go. And Geordie is closing up behind as well, and IBN isn't too far behind that. Maybe he'll be able to catch at the end. Let's see how long Chonk can hold these cars behind. Chonk, of course, has a lot of damage at the moment. Both underfloor and rear wing damage. Fade being involved with a collision early doors. and just not becoming a bit of a DRS train here, a bit of a truly train. But OS Degrees fancying a look up the inside of Captain Rainbow Fox, and will these two in this special 75 year. Yeah, he keeps it in the inside. That's what I was looking for. He keeps it in there, and now OS Degrees will look for the inside of Joker. Will he have two cars and two places and two corners? I don't think he does. And Joker runs wide there and falls behind from Chonk. And Joker's leading place for OS Degrees here. And there's contact. There's contact between the two. Disastrous for OS Degrees. Just being caught out by Joker having to take a shallower line on the inside, bumping into the back, and that's an end plate lost. Probably a bit of yellow wing damage, and that is so disastrous. OS Degrees will do well. Oh, and Joker just desinks completely behind Captain Rainbow Fox. Not sure quite what happened there, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a glitch forward at some point. But Joker runs wide, and OS Degrees desperate to get by as Captain Rainbow Fox now unleashed on Chonk. The Ferrari's battling Chonk. We've seen that one before. And Alpha Integral 7 seconds behind AJS Inden at the front. 6 laps to build another seconds gap for AJS Inden. He'd be happy with a second place. Things haven't quite transpired that he can take first place, but OS Degrees having to stay out. DRS, bit of clipping at the end of the straight. No, there isn't. So, Captain Rainbow Fox will try and build a gap and not give Joker the DRS, but fundamentally Captain Rainbow Fox wants to get past Chonk. Joker showed that he couldn't over the last few laps, so it's Fox's turn at the front. And OS Degrees runs a bit wide and gets a 3-second penalty. So now Geordie is now well in the race for this 9th position. That is a crucial 9-second penalty. In the space of a lap, OS Degrees has gone from battling for 7th position to actually falling back into 9th position with wing damage and battling a car in 10th, which has an equal amount of penalties. It can all unravel so quickly. You have the bit between your teeth, you're looking forward, and if you don't go forwards, you go backwards. So very, very difficult circumstances. Geordie now has a whiff of getting 9th position off OS Degrees. That works well for Joker and the Alpine team. Matutas not picking up points this weekend after an early DNF, I believe. Yeah, he's not in the race, so he must have DNF'd. So, AJS Inden has a gap of roughly 6.9 seconds to Alpha Integral. I think Struggs may be doing a little bit more fuel saving, if I'm not wrong, just because that gap has started to dwindle just a little bit. And Geordie running very wide through turn 15 will have DRS to close down that gap again. But it'll be Captain Rainbow Fox on Chonk. We've seen this one before. All last year they were battling like nutters. Into turn 5 will be the overtaking opportunity. Chonk with so much damage and still keeping 4-5 cars at bay for a long period of time. And good racing from Chonk to do so. Involved in the battle at the front, he'll be disappointed. He'll think that a podium was on course if he didn't have that contact or his doors, but you've just got to move on from the incident and go forward, look forward, and not try to dwell on the past, because mistakes happen in our league. And OS Degrees has got Joker. OS Degrees has got Joker, even with that damage. But Joker, with less penalties, is still in front of him on the road. But OS Degrees will be looking forward, trying to build that gap of 3 seconds to Joker. Can he do it? He's got 1.7 seconds to the cars in front. This DRS train has unfolded a bit with the contact and the overtakes through the pack. And Captain Rainbow Fox only 3 tenths behind Chonk. Any little mistake here will give anyone. And Chonk, let's face it, Chonk is falling behind all the cars behind him at the moment. I think only Geordie he would stay in front because of that 6-second penalty. But fair credit to him, he'll fight every little bit of the road. Sometimes to his own detriment, he will fight like it's a World Championship win on the line. And he fights excellently well. He's almost reminds me of Schumacher in his defence. Really knows exactly where to put his car. Only a young racer too, so a lot of experience to come, I'm sure. As they go up the inside into turn 5, will Fox have the pace to defend from Chonk? Chonk with so much more ERS. You have to marvel at Chonk's defensive ability here to keep Captain Rainbow Fox at bay. And to be honest, Captain Rainbow Fox doesn't need to overtake Chonk, right? He doesn't need to overtake him. He doesn't need to put his car in a position because he'll get that position at the end of the race. Even if Chonk has a couple of warnings removed, he'll still have 3 seconds worth of penalties. He's right behind him. So that's going to happen. Alpha Integral has started to close that gap a little bit on AJS Inden. So AJS Inden looking like he's going to be in 3rd position. And I think IBN's had a spin at turn 8. Let's have a quick look here. He's fallen down into 12th position. He's had a spin at turn 8. Of course, the site of the famous King Sniper Captain Fox incident last season. Ralph or Michael Schumacher? Ralph Schumacher obviously is the best Schumacher. Undoubtable. But we have... Who's that? Is that Struggs? Has Struggs just had a moment? No, Struggs hasn't had a moment. It must have been... Why did it look like a moment? Ralph Schumacher's the best Schumacher, isn't it? Obviously. Do you know what I mean? 7 world championships to none? It's got to be Ralph. Michael Schumacher, his defence is amazing. Did you like, especially when he returned to Mercedes and he'd just be like stuck in the pack and like blocking everyone up? Like, it was absolutely amazing. He knew exactly where to put his car. It was like a mobile chicane in a good way. So, Alpha Integral, the gap's just flirting around 7 seconds. It's starting to go back up. I wonder if Alpha Integral's struggling with his tyres. 7.3 seconds is the gap. I just said that AJS Inden was probably not looking at second place on the podium, probably looking at third place. He'll be happy with either, but he'll be delighted with second place. So Struggs has definitely got this race win, providing there's no incident right at the end, there's no Damon Hill blow up or anything like that on the final lap. You know, anything could happen. Nigel Mansell famously waved at the hairpin at Canada, waved to the fans and stalled his engine and gave away a race win. So anything could happen on the final lap, but I'm sure Struggs won't be waving to any fans in the grandstand because it'd be a complete waste of time. But it grew to 7.7 seconds, and Fox is now 8 tenths behind Chonk, sorry. And OS Degrees will be frustrated that he can't move forward because he probably has the pace to gap Joker here, but Joker just doing enough to keep within 3 seconds. That will take some points off of the Ferrari team. Absolutely crucial in their constructors battle. Meanwhile, we can basically say Williams have wrapped it up. Aston Martin picking up good points this weekend. Red Bull also picking up good points. We saw Temp just cross over on the inside of chicane as I was flicking through, channel flicking between the different streams, and pick up another penalty. 12 seconds worth of penalties. He's going to be finishing in 5th. Fade gets a 5 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Let's have a look at fastest lap at this point in time. I don't often look for it, but let's see if we could see fastest lap. Interval. Fastest lap is here. So who has fastest lap? Fade has fastest lap. So he's took fastest lap presumably off his teammate to stop that from going. It's 1 less point for Williams, but it's 1 less point for Struggs. And I don't think Williams particularly need the point. So interval is what we're looking at the moment. And if we look at the tyre life of the cars around, Fade has pitted for a pair of softs. And AJS Inden has grown that gap. Fade pitting for Ego fastest lap. That's exactly what I imagined he was doing. AJS Inden has grown the gap. 10 seconds is the gap. Alpha Integral falling back over these laps. AJS Inden, as long as he can keep it clean, keep it mean, has enough to finish this race. And as we come on to the end of the penultimate lap for Struggs, you have to hand it to him. He's led every single lap of this race. Only a brief moment at the first corner was fence ahead, and it's a huge congratulations. 1 more lap to go for him. We won't congratulate him too early, but he's on the precipice of a Grand Chelem here, the first Grand Chelem in Syndicate Racing League. He's took the pole position. He's led every single lap of the Grand Prix. All 65 laps completed have been led by Struggs, and he'll take the race win as long as he can get to the end of the track. And it looks like Alpha Integral's really having to fuel save. This is why he's falling back. Surely there's no kind of overheating problems. He's having to fuel save massively. Massively. Look at this, really lifting off here. Really lifting off, fuel saving to the max. And this is why AJS Inden has second position, because of the lifts offs. And he wins at Spa, spins at Monza. That's that's Struggs all over, right? He really didn't like Monza last weekend. We have Alex Trent G. I think he spun right at the ass there, last corner. So AJS Inden in second position, and we'll have go on board with Struggs as he rounds out the final few laps. It's been a marvellous season for Struggs, and this performance absolutely is the crown jewel of the season so far. Of course, the biggest crown for him would be winning the second season of the SRL-100 as he comes over the finish line. Congratulations, Struggs. No penalties, led every lap, fastest lap, wins the race. It's a Grand Chelem for Struggs, and he takes 25 points over his championship rival, putting him nearly with one hand on the trophy. AJS Inden takes second place, and what the fuel saving Alpha Integrals had to do, that is second place on the road. Alpha Integral coming over in third. He'll take third position. Temp only 2.5 seconds back on the road, but 12 seconds of penalties will put him behind his teammate Giri on tour. A fantastic performance from the two Astons, 4th and 5th. Both are filling in this weekend. SRL-50 drivers filling in for SRL-100 Aston Martin drivers. Chonk, a marvellous defensive drive there. I would say his defending is often better than his attacking, and he has kept very, very quick cars at bay with rear diffuser and underfloor damage. Absolutely marvellous from OS Degrees, from Chonk, but Captain Rainbow Fox, Joker and OS Degrees get him over the line because of the penalties that have been applied. Dead in the pool. It's going to come round the final corner to take the final points place position. Chonk says no words, honestly, except from the 3 that you just said. So dead in the pool, taking 10th position. Congratulations to him on his Alfa Romeo debut in the SRL-100. He takes a point. And McLeod just finishing outside the points. IBN finishing outside the points as well. And that is the end of the session. And I will dip the webcam just so we can see the results come in. And a marvellous performance by Struggs. Absolutely marvellous performance. I'll ask him if he wants to join the race chat at all, but I'm not sure if he will. Let's just ask Levi. I've asked him if he wants to join the stream. It's completely up to him. Either way, he takes the win. Points to the fans. Definitely doesn't look like that in real life. And the terrifying pit crew smile on with their massive teeth. And congratulations to Struggs. Another win in the championship. And, okay. So, if we have a look at the race director. Oh, did I actually look at all the results there? I didn't look at all the results. So let's have a look at all the results. And scroll through the incidents. So, if we move him into hello. How's it going? So, let me just unmute Discord on my stream.
Yeah, just...
So, how does it feel taking the first Grand Chelem of the SRL? You took pole position, you've led every lap of the race, and you won the race. It's the first one in the SRL-100.
Wow, I'm really happy about that, actually. I didn't know that. I'm just happy the strategy worked. Both me and Fade decided the hard tyre was the tyre to start on, and pace was amazing on the hard to start with. On the medium, not so much. I think AJ was ridiculously fast on the medium. Fence had some really electric pace as well, so got a bit hairy after the final safety car, but got it there in the end, so that's what matters. I hope the battle was fun to watch.
It was a really enjoyable race. I tell you what, the opening stages, you didn't have to do too much racing yourself, did you? You had about a 20-second gap before that first safety car.
It was entertaining. I was getting a running commentary from Fade about what was going on behind me, so I was like...
It was good racing for about 20 laps and then carnage.
I was like...
after the safety car.
He was like, it's chaos back here, and I said, hey, if it's chaos, I'm okay to chill out in front and not get involved in it, That was probably... The first lap was the most important first lap in a while to stay in front of the fence. That was critical. Yeah. That's why I was really, on it. I dumped a lot of battery at the start, but I thought it was race critical to stay ahead of him on the first lap. And then if he was faster than me at that point, then we'll race. But if I had the pace, then try and get out in front and have a clean race, because I didn't get any penalties, which I think was a really thing I was worried about. before the start of this race. In all the practice races, I was getting a few. So to come away without getting any time penalties was really, really a good thing that I'm glad about.
A hard track to do it at too, because of that first corner.
Do you know, that was the funniest thing. The first corner, I was just destroying myself on it in practices, and today I just hooked it up. I had a few moments under traction on a few of the elevation change corners, but nothing catastrophic. But just overall, it just clicked right on race day, and I'm so happy about that. You know, we made some last minute sort of changes in the last hour before the race to the setup. We went for a bit higher downforce than I wanted to, but it turned out to be the right move, I think, because it was so much more controllable.
Yeah, it was a great race win. It really was good stuff. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to say to you know, I want to call that, if I can, my driver of the day nomination for today would be AJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be AJ. I think, you know, the pace at the end on the mediums, especially on the safety car restart, like before it all got a bit skew-iff, was crazy. He had me cracking. I'm sure you saw it. I had a few moments of the second lap, you know, because I was really trying, and I was like, damn, like, what's happened? He's just electric today. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, a great race from AJ, getting second place in the end after Alpha Integral had to fuel save. But yeah, thank you very much for jumping on board.
That's all right.
And yeah, congratulations again.
On to next week.
So I'll just wrap up here. So the final results are strugs from AJ from Alpha Integral, and I will be posting the instant clip review in a matter of moments, everyone, so check that in Discord chat. And yeah, this has been a Syndicate Race League production. Thank you very much.